Man, I am such a huge fan of OBS being just a giant bitch. Hold on a second, my pretzel isn't coming through either. Fixing. Stream Deck is so useful until it isn't. There we go. There we go. A little bit of music to get us through the night. Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night. How we doing tonight, folks? I hope everybody out there is having a good one. I mean, I always do. It might seem a little redundant at this point. Of course, Thunderhead's hoping that you're having a good night. But the fact is, it's true. It's true every time. It's as true tonight as it was the first stream we had damn near 3 years ago. A little rearranging here. We're going to be doing some terrain painting tonight. Should be nice and relaxing. Mostly washing and dry brushing since I applied the predominant majority of my base coats via airbrush earlier today. Should be pretty simple. Not overcomplicating it. Keeping it easy. Keeping it easy. Been finishing up modeling. How's that Shadowhawk coming? Voxel Forge, Square Peg. It's always a pleasure to see you in chat. Riot Sister, thank you so much for being here. Also, none of my buttons are working tonight. Again, Alright, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to complain about it a lot. I'm going to complain about it a little bit, because it's a pain in my ass. Forgottering, I'm looking forward to Dark Tide, man. Everyone seems to think it's pretty sweet. I went ahead and pre-ordered it, so I'll have it on the 30th, and we'll get down. We'll get down, do a little... Oh my god, speaking of getting down, the fuck my numero uno badge goes so many months. That's a good question. Why don't you... That's silly. That's silly, you should have one. Oh, Riot Sister, 32. 32 months. Oh my god, Riot Sister, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all 32 of them. For all 32 of those, you've been here for damn near every stream, backing me up and making sure I look like slightly less of an idiot than usual, which is a difficult and important job, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you for being here, and thank you so much for the support. David Rogers Games, you go ahead and lurk away, my friend. It's good to see you. Roland, how you doing? I'm glad you still like that cataphract. We might take another run at it here at some point, because I really feel like that one in particular I could do better. I really feel like that one in particular I could do better. I would also like to do it on a CGL cataphract, because I like that sculpt better. I do. I like that sculpt better. I don't know. The MWO sculpts always rub me a little bit the wrong way. Feel bad the stream deck still isn't working. Haven't had issues with mine in a minute. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, there's an update that OBS is waiting on. I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna try reinstalling Stream Deck again. So far, the pattern is I reinstall Stream Deck, I redo the plugin, it works for like a stream, and then it stops. And nothing changes between the time that it's working and the time that it stops, which is really frustrating because I can't even troubleshoot that shit. And there are a lot of people who don't seem to be having the issue that I'm having, so I guess it's just me. I'm special. I'm a special guy that way. Gotta log in to look forward to when I get home and continuing my first Pokemon Violent playthrough after. I like Pokemon Violent. I know that it was a controversial move when they announced that they were gonna have an NC-17 rated Pokemon game. But for fans like me who grew up with the franchise and who are now adults, I think we really appreciated that one. You know, it kind of brought everything full circle. Who didn't? Who didn't? Like, we all named Gary, we all named the rival fuckface, who didn't want to put their boot directly through his face, and now you get to, thanks to Pokemon Violent. That's a stupid joke. I'm shocked that I'm still, like, I've clearly gone way past the point where it stopped being funny, and yet I'm still talking about it. Wombat Combat Prime, good to see you too, my friend. Voxel Forge enjoying some Dark Tide as well. Been doing the Psyker this morning. Ooh, watch it. Watch it. Gets a little hairy in there. There's the first bed. I'm glad you still have that, Riot Sister. Asri, good to see you. Forgot working on the Ogrin. Yeah, that is that is what I said. It was a stupid joke. Yeah. Of course there is, Roland. I'd be shocked if there wasn't. I'm going to sit here for a moment. I'm going to steep and enjoy my Earl Grey tea. And we have a bunch of terrain from the Heart of Ghur box to work on tonight. As I said, I have been airbrushing. Isn't this an impressive piece? I'm a little staggered at how easily this actually assembled. We didn't get to do an assembly stream on this stuff. I wound up doing the full assembly this week after that stream had to be canceled, which was unfortunate, but it's all together. And this morning I just sat down and I got it primed and put down some base tones and figured out what the rest of my colors are going to be. We're going to go for some real simple paint schemes on this, some washes, some dry brushing. Oh, I did miss a gap. Oh well, I think I'll probably live. We're going to paint up the trees, which I guess are supposed to look kind of meaty, and then this will be a table ready to play on this Thanksgiving, which is the goal. How you doing, Wombat? Yeah, all of these, the big 4 terrain pieces have like these bamboo platforms and like a skeleton, and you can see the meat trees are sort of growing out of the skeleton. You see this one, the root is punched down through the eye of whatever monster this used to be. Monsters of various sizes, like this one is growing out of a giant spinal column, which is like kaiju sized. And there's like an Ewok village connection system that links them all together, which is pretty neat. I like this one. It's like a dragon skull that it's growing out of. Running on fumes and tearing at the seams, but I'm doing the things. How's you? That's the ticket, man. Just keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Gotta figure out how I want to paint my Imperial Navy breachers and the Space Hulk terrain as easily as possible, because that is a lot of terrain. That is a lot of terrain. And Forgotta Wrong, thank you again for doing... Oh, shit. Remind me to PayPal you, by the way. Please remind me to PayPal you, because I owe you for the... what's the name of them? Something kin band. The Kroot kin band that came in that box. I wanted that kill team. Forgotta Wrong was kind enough to split the box with me. He's taking the terrain and the Imperial Navy breachers, and I'm taking the Kroot. I know I have my bitterness. I have my bitterness about a lot of 40k these days still, but I have always loved the Kroot. The Kroot are, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, my favorite and, in my opinion, the most compelling Xenos race that still exists in 40k. Of course, they've discontinued some of the more interesting models that they had, like back when you used to be able to get from Forge World, the Great Narlock, Kroot Hawks. There were the lesser Narlocks, which were like Velociraptors. Like, those models were so cool. I would slap a baby, like full on in the face, for a fully fledged Kroot army in 40k. Instead of taking tanks, I could take like armored Narlocks. Instead of having bike riders, you could have lesser Narlock riders. Aerial units would be like a big like Kroot Hawk Thunderbird type thing, right? God, that'd be fucking cool. Anyone making good alt Kroots? So the only person there are a couple. There aren't many. I'm looking because I've got one on my shelf, but as we've experienced in the past, that's not always too promising. There it is. I'll show it when the camera comes up. A Ukrainian sculptor has done a pretty great, like, female Kroot carnivore hunter figure that's sort of based on Predator, and admittedly more booby than a you know, cannibalistic bird lady probably should be, but whatever. Like, who gives a shit? And I am intending to use this model with my Kroot kill team. But I haven't put any paint on it yet, and I'm still contemplating how I want to do their patterning. But I'll show this off when we get to the other. Zakamra. She definitely has a Predator-esque like gun coming up over her shoulder. Star Wars Shatterpoint starters have been shown. Huzzah! Get light bulb B2s for everybody, I trust. All the ones I've seen are either not bird people or robots. Yeah, like, I don't know. I've seen some Kroot proxies that definitely aren't bird-like enough for my taste. They need to be like murderous parrot men. That whole race is begging for more creativity. That's what I'm saying, like a flying unit that was like a big Kroot Thunderbird would be fucking cool. That'd really be something. A tank unit that was like like a big Kroot turtle. You know, something that evolved to have like a big shell that they had hollowed out part of and put guns and stuff in. That would be great. Because that's what's neat about Kroot, is they can be anything. They can be anything. You just modify the basic Kroot life form into whatever you need it to be and say, they found a thing on a planet, they ate it a bunch, and now these exist. They have they have a bunch of evolutionary dead-end species. I know the Narlock was an evolutionary dead-end, where once they evolve into that, they just kind of stay there. Same thing for Kroot Hawks, Kroot Hounds, Krootox. I always thought that was an odd name, since there are Kroot Hawks and then there are Krootox, and these are two different things. Right, as far as coloration goes? Parrot Kroot? Yeah, croutons. Who could forget those? You know, they hide in your salad and then they jump out and they nail you with their rifle blades. It sounds like a thing. It sounds like a thing that would happen. Thanks for that, Riot Sister. That's right up there with Space Hawk. Thinking more parrot-like rather than color. They already are kind of parrot-like. They have the big, like, sort of blunted downward curve, but then wickedly hooked beak at the end. And they have, like, instead of having feathers, though, they have, like, a reptilian skin, and then they have quills. Which I can see why this guy who did the sculpting thought to himself, predator! Because, yeah, skin and hair-wise, they're very much like predators. They're just predators with beaks instead of unsettling mastication holes. Cha-cha-cha-cha. What's everybody working on tonight? Y'all doing anything fun? What's everybody doing for Thanksgiving? People got plans? I hope you do. I hope you do. Thanksgiving isn't like a big deal holiday or anything for me, but it's always a good excuse to get a couple of turkeys. We're gonna be frying one up. We're gonna be smoking one. I think we're grabbing a couple extra just because I always like having a couple of turkeys. It's like you can't get turkeys other time of the year. Full-size turkeys, you can't just buy them at the grocery store. So we always load up and do a little bit extra afterwards. But Hethru is coming up, and we're going to be playing some of this here Warcry Heart of Ghur. He's bringing Kill Team. I think we're going to be playing probably some Warcaster. I am officially moving my game room this week over to the other building, so I'll actually be able to use it, because that game room seemed like such a good idea until the reality of weather set in, and then it just never gets used, and this is going to be much more convenient. You can have it, Crossbow Roof, but I want a quarter every time you say it. Hang on, let me look at this. That doesn't look bad. You've got what looks like Ghur Saxon and a couple of evil Mandalorian dudes. Some, what are they called? The Death Watch. A pretty decent looking Maul with robot legs, Asajj Ventress, a little group of 3 B1s doing it exactly the same way that they do it in what's the game called? Marvel Crisis Protocol. And then that looks like Kalani with a little hologram in his hand there. I'm gonna take a look at the light side one. Oh yeah, and then on the opposite side, instead of having Ghur Saxon and the Death Watch, you have Bo-Katan and her Night Owls. Anakin, Ahsoka, and I appreciate that the clones get their own bases unlike the B1. That's a good way of differentiating their power levels. 3 B1s are worth 1 clone. Sure, I'll buy that. The sculpts don't look quite as wildly cartoonish as I had feared. A little cartoonish, but not too bad. They're good-looking sculpts. But, you know, AMG seems to know what they're doing when it comes to styrene models. Yep, and Rex. And Rex with his specially welded custom helmet. It's a good-looking set. I think it'll probably be a good... In fact, you know what? I know it's going to be a good game, because Marvel Crisis Protocol is a good game, and it looks like it's just Marvel Crisis Protocol. So, I mean, you know, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Gonna go up into the hills without any electronics and get lost. Please don't do that. I suspect strongly that is hyperbole, but I'm going to implore you, Asri, please don't actually do that. That's bring some electronics. Turn them off for the time being if you must, but when you need them, turn them back on. That's it's just asking for trouble, man. Ah. All right, I gotta mentally wrap my head around the process I'm gonna go through here and where I'm gonna start. Probably with putting washes down on the bone parts. I feel like that's the obvious starting point, and maybe some base colors for the rocks and the dirt, but probably the bones first. That seems... Well, no, I'm going to want to do the dirt around the bases, because I won't be able to dry brush that without getting the other parts. We'll make it up. We'll make it up as we go. Canonized in Battletech. Oh my god. Who are you in the inner sphere, Roland? Be back in a year with a knee-long beard covered in the skins of the animals I've eaten to stay alive. Good old Grizzly Adams. Miss Mechanic Games, how you doing today, man? Welcome in. Came across a fun new Pokemans already. Electric flying type burb. Basically, a Pikachu doesn't have to worry about Earthquake. I'm so fucking far behind the times on Pokemon, it's not even funny. I'm a clan ghost bear mech warrior. What? Huh? Why? Why is that a thing, Roland? Okay, so I don't yet want to drop names and make official announcements. But I made some cryptic remarks on the last stream about some big things coming down the line. I will say that they are big things for Thunderhead Studio. I will say that they are big things for Hextech. I will say that they are big things for the availability of Battletech terrain at quite possibly your friendly local game store. Quite likely your FLGS if they stock CGL product already. I only feel comfortable saying more about it now because we are currently in the process. Like, I currently have my lawyer reviewing a contract. So there is, like, technically a slim chance that it doesn't go through. It doesn't seem likely at this point. It seems like we're going through. We're in the final stages now. I will have more specific information on this in the near future. But it's moving pretty quickly, and we should expect to see the fruits of this labor as early as May or June. I'm really excited about it. And I will give you particulars just as soon as a few more things get nailed down, but it's big. It's real big. For me, it's really fucking big, and it's... Yeah. Well, suffice to say, we're pretty well locking in the existence and continued expansion of Hextech for, like, the next 5 years. Not CGL, Roland. Not CGL. Literally a larger company than CGL. And a big enough name that, it's kind of just as good as putting the actual Battletech brand on the box. Well, I'm not going to tell you, Roland. Even if you guess it, I'm not going to tell you. That much must be obvious. But in the near future, you will get some specifics. I'm just gloating about it right now because I'm floored that it has even happened. They came to me, they said, we want to do this, and I said, this is probably a phishing scheme because there's no way you're emailing me. And then it turns out that was actually the person. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry for accusing you of being a hacker. Oh, no. It's not, I'll tell you, it's not James Workshop. But the most exciting thing about it for me is not just some money that's involved, which is exciting. But that specifically the Hextech brand name and my logo are associated with and involved in the final product, and that for me is absolutely huge. It'd be one thing to have it go out there and be like, all right, we're dropping the name, we're dropping the logo, but I'm like, we're getting it in there. We're getting it in there. All right, what am I doing? What am I even doing here? I'm gonna push that button so that I don't know why I'm pushing the buttons, but just I like to be on the right things. Let's go ahead and transition and start doing a little bit of painting. What do you say?
All right, locusts and
God damn it.
mechs, get ready.
Be quiet, cat. Oh, I'll never forget Roland. Doodly-doo. No glove, no love. All right. So, let me grab, I'm thinking this heavy sienna. Put it on my paint wongler. And we'll start doing a little bit of base coating for the dirt around the bases of these things. Damn it. Where are my pipettes? Oh, there they are. I have a whole drawer dedicated to them. That's where they are. And there's down a little distilled water. A couple drops will do ya. Grab myself a brush I don't care much about. We're not doing anything precise tonight. So I might as well use some fairly imprecise brushes. What do you say? What is this? This is my Game Envy Phalanx. That'll do just fine. Pull over a couple other brushes I don't care much about. I got an army painter brush here nobody gives a shit about. Big brush here. Smaller one here. Cheap one here. That's a good start. We can make do with these. Merlin Models, my god. How you doing today, man? Boop, boop, boop. A little more water. Particularly when I'm painting terrain, I always try to stretch my paint as far as I can because you can find yourself going through quantity very quickly. Move those over to the side, and yeah, it comes with a bunch of scatter. So I'm just gonna start off laying down this brown on the dirt portions here. Since I figure I should do that before I do the rest, since it's kind of deeper and it's going to be impossible to dry brush this after I paint the rest. You get some rest, though. Up early tomorrow on Adventure. Just about got some photos for the Storm Report. Hoping you're well. I appreciate you stopping in, particularly knowing that you've actually got to get some sleep living on damn near other side of the planet and all. Actually, not really. Just the other side of the ocean. But still. Merlin, it's always wonderful to see you in here, dude. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm down for this conversation about a UK visit. There are a few areas over there I've been meaning to hit up myself for a while. Over 2.5 years since I first painted that yellow tyrant. How you doing, Sumatha31? Holy shit. Good evening to you, Sumatha. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the resub. As always, man, it is wonderful to see you in chat. I think these are like... Are these Seraphon ruins? Can anybody who knows anything about fucking Warhammer Age of Sigmar... Like, they look like... Because Seraphon is always kind of Aztec-y, isn't it? So I think these are Seraphon ruins. I don't know shit about the Mortal Realms since the ending of the Old World. Oh, I could believe that, Voxel. Feeding the beast. So, okay, but like, Retio Santi, like, look at this, though, and tell me this doesn't look like it's probably a Seraphon ruin, right? I think that in the new world, in the story of Heart of Ghur, there is a Seraphon void ship that crash-landed in Ghur in the Realm of Beasts. I think that's what this is supposed to be, is from that Seraphon void ship. So they're not native to it, obviously, but what there is left of them, I suppose, is there. I will do that. I will contact Walter and we'll figure out what makes sense. Those very ruins could have at one time been on the world that was. I think that's the implication. Because the two factions in the Heart of Ghur box are fighting over a device at the heart of a Seraphon void ship that is supposed to allow them to remake Ghur in their own image. One of those images being that of Nurgle, and the other being that of Khorne. Because of the implication. Are you gonna hurt these realms? These realms aren't in any danger. Why would you think they're in any danger? It's the implication of danger. These realms are thinking that things are gonna go wrong for them if they say no. Not that they will, but, you know, they're thinking that they will. It should, like, watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia should be just required. Like, required reading for hanging out in the stream. I wish there was an option I could make that a thing. If you're not familiar with It's Always Sunny, just, you know, go hit up Hulu and come back when you're ready. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little disappointing. It's a little disappointing, Roland. I mean, I'm not gonna fault you. It's a very particular sense of humor, but it's one that I love. Oh, this is such an incredibly riveting part of the paint job, is this part when I'm just painting dirt. It is so much more than that crossbow roof. In the sense that it is a situational comedy, technically speaking, I suppose. But there aren't really many that are quite like it. I mean, in fairness, a lot of people like the Great British Baking Show. I wouldn't hold that against you. You shouldn't hold it against yourself. So anyways, I started blasting. That's the thing, anybody who doesn't watch It's Always Sunny, like, I guarantee you're familiar with a bunch of memes from it, because they're all over the fucking internet. It is the greatest thing that Danny DeVito has ever given us. As a culture. Can I offer you a nice egg in these trying times? I think I've been poisoned by my constituents. Oh, God. They're working on another season now. That's wonderful. I am excited for it. I can't believe it's been going on as long as it has. I love that in recent seasons it's become, like, super experimental. Buy bodyguards, for bodyguards. Gotta get your crow-teen so you can fight like a crow. I mean, it makes sense. The best UFC fighters are former bodyguards, and the best bodyguards are former UFC fighters. It's like a revolving door. Alright, now I'm just quoting a show a lot of you probably haven't watched. I'll stop, I'm sorry. What is everybody watching lately? So I watched two movies recently that I would like to recommend if my taste in film interests you at all. Some of you have watched movies with me, including the masterful works of Neil Breen, and thus probably know better than to listen to anything I say. But those of you who still think that my opinion means anything, I watched Barbarian recently, which is a movie that is written and directed by Zach Kreger, who if you're familiar with The Whitest Kids You Know him. He is one of The Whitest Kids You Know, that comedy troupe, which is, by the way, a hilarious comedy troupe, and if you haven't watched their show, you really, really should. Unfortunately, one of their main members died relatively recently in a tragic accident, so they're pretty much done as a troupe. But obviously, they are still functioning as artists, and Zach Kreger made a horror movie called Barbarian. And it's not like... It's no The Witch. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's the most amazing horror movie ever. No, it's just a fucking good horror movie. It's interesting. It has some nice kind of like social commentary to it that isn't so on the nose or in your face that it distracts from the story of the film itself. It's genuinely entertaining. It's got Justin Long and Bill Skarsgård in it. Very much worth watching. It is definitely one that I recommend. I mean, you know, all horror movies I pretty much recommend this, but if you go in knowing nothing about it, you're going to get more out of it in the end. So I don't advise looking up anything about it. But just give it a watch. Small Soldiers on VHS. Wow. I'm a little embarrassed that I actually remember quite a lot of that movie. With Tommy Lee Jones as the voice of the, like, G.I. Joe Duke character. Yeah. Good times. Zoom in, get those tears. just started The Sandman. How are you liking it? I enjoyed The Sandman quite a lot. It's not perfect. It definitely has some weak parts to it, but the parts that were strong, particularly the parts with David Thewlis, were so strong that I didn't give a shit. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah, the visuals are very, very strong. The other movie that I watched is Jordan Peele's new-ish movie, Nope. That's another one where, like, really, don't look up anything about it, just watch it. Nope was great. I really, really enjoyed Nope. No spoils. No spoils, as usual, and that is definitely a movie that's fairly easy to spoil. But I found it thoroughly entertaining and upsetting. Upsetting kind of in the same way that Annihilation was upsetting, in unexpected ways. Is that true? Were the stupid little fucking toys in that movie resin printed? I had no idea. I always thought it was funny that it was about a dude who was like, I want to make these environmentally conscious eco-warrior toys, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. Now have the G.I. Joes kill them. Do they really? It's been a long time since I've watched it. The parts of it that I remember are obviously not that part. I guess that must have been in the very beginning. I guess I do vaguely remember a montage of the warrior elite, or the soldier elite, whatever they were called, being made. Okay, yeah, probably over, like, the opening credits. That would make the most sense. Going through all these little barricades, they give you 2 of each style. All these went together pretty nicely. Opening credits, we don't do that anymore. Hey, Dragon Printer, how you doing? Yeah, that's right, they play the Spice Girls really, really loud, right? I do vaguely remember that now that you mention it. It has been... I would say it has easily been at least 15 years since I've seen that movie. Still remember parts of it, but it has to have been at least that long since I actually watched it. It came out in the 90s, yeah. Trying out Turbo Dork Metallics for the first time. How they working for you? I've never used any Turbo Dork, so I can't speak to it, but a lot of people seem to like their paint. Gray Mail. Hitting me with some of them Bezos bucks. 7 months, a little bit of hype, and a little bit of blanky party in there. Gray Mail, thank you so much for the resub, man. Thank you for your support. But as always, the real thank you is just for being here to hang out with us tonight. How you doing? Ugh. Alright, next one. Just dropped it on the pallet. I am curious. I've heard people rank it kind of around in the same area as Cuttlefish Colors, though admittedly that's another brand I also haven't used. Merlin, you have a good night, my man. Thank you so much for stopping in. It's always a pleasure to see you. Sleep tight, buddy. Well wishes from across the pond. I think most of my day spent laughing at Elon Musk while ZBrushing. I have been following that news with no small amount of schadenfreude. It just keeps getting dumber and dumber and somehow dumber. And I don't know how, but every time I've thought, well, he's done the dumbest thing he can do this week, he surprises me and does something dumber. It's amazing. It genuinely seems like, and I don't use Twitter. I am not a tweeter. But it really seems like he is trying as hard as he can to tank that entire fucking company. And I have no idea why he would do that. I'm loath to believe... Like, I'm a big fan of Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can easily be explained by ignorance or stupidity. But I am loath to believe that he is that stupid. I think that as a human being, he certainly lacks emotional intelligence and maturity, yes. I think that broadly speaking, it's fair to call Elon Musk kind of a fucking idiot in particular contexts, but he has historically been savvy when it comes to making money in tech. And his recent actions, it would be easy to just say, well, he's a moron, but in this particular thing, he's usually smarter. So I have no idea. He's that arrogant and that petty. That's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. Still a little shocking. Oh, he was born into wealth. His parents own, like, a fucking South American emerald mine. And yeah, he's sort of lucked and bullied and bought his way into most of his positions throughout his life, but that's just it. Like, you have to give some credit to the decision-making that went into that. He's not a completely incompetent rube, or he wouldn't have even been able to spend his money in decent ways. At least, that is what I am tempted to think. I could be wrong. And if that's what we're discovering right now, well, okay. That's fine. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching him fucking fall apart as much as the next man. But does that translate into making money or being relevant, Xander Shade? Because it's also fueled a huge boom in a number of other burgeoning social media platforms. I am not smart enough. I do not have access to the necessary information to give a meaningful analysis of where Twitter is right now, business-wise. But it does not look good to the layman, which I very much am. Ever just walk around with paints in your pocket? Sometimes. Rarely, but it does happen. Usually when I've just bought them. Dr. Reiner, decide if I should give a damn or not. Oh, fuck no. Hell no, you shouldn't. Keep your dams for yourself. What's up, Rhino? How you doing, man? Wonderful to see you. Oh, that's what I was going to ask, Rhino. Did you want those swamp bases? Is that what I was forgetting? Okay, I'll pull them up and show them to you here in just a second. Bear with me while I'm laying down my dirt base here.
Ooh, fingies.
Termafingies. Those are my favorite kind. Are they lightning fingies? my second favorite kind. Really more of a subclassification of my favorite kind. Power fingers for power fists. You want strawberry? How about rawberry? Made with lightning. Real lightning. Oh my god, I'm old. Oh, what did I just do? Is that true, Sumitha? I missed that. With flavors such as gun. Oops, I just rinsed my brush on the wrong water cup. Oh well, I'll switch this to the other one. Force of habit. Let me take a moment and show you what I've been working on. So, those of you who are with me for the last few build streams would have seen the forces from this box coming together. And I got my custom swamp bases done for my Rotmire Creed. Yeah, that's what they're called. The Nurgly Swamp Boys. And I'll go ahead and show them off. Now, they haven't been painted yet. They have been assembled. They have been gap-filled. They have been based. They have been primed. And they are just waiting on getting painted now. But here is our Witherlord, he's called. And you can see I extended his stilts up somewhat, and I made, for the bases, for the models that have stilts, that aren't walking on their own two footsies, I just made the base of it water, so this is going to be painted like a deep, murky swamp water. Fire Spray, welcome in, good to see you. Only reason I'd use Twitter is to gain entries for giveaways. That's a good way of looking at it, Morak. And then I've got, as details in there, these little, like, fungal, I think they're called soil throats. That was a design that I borrowed from Sewer Creature, which seemed appropriate. We've got some floating molds and funguses on the surface there. We have what I've learned are called cypress knees, which are a root structure that grow up from cypress roots, which seemed appropriate, again, for swamp terrain. And you can see a few more in the back and a few more little fungal growths and, like, a little root kind of growing up and out of it. A decent amount of detail, and then his stilts going down into the water, and he's kind of elevated about 3 millimeters higher than he normally would be, and then I just green stuffed the pins for his stilts down into the water, but I think he came out pretty good. And then the other two stilted models are these two boys with the scythe and the hook, and in this case, their base is actually the exact same one, just on each of these. Their base is smaller than the big guys, but just flipped around. And again, they have little fungal bits. They've got some mold floating on the surface. They've got some cypress knees. This guy has a rotten, broken tree trunk sticking off the front of his base, but again, that's going to be painted like swamp water. Their stilts are disappearing down into. I'm really a fan of these models. I think these came out pretty nice. Now, we had to do one more 32mm base for the bloated one, and I kind of went all out on his. Since he doesn't have stilts, he's standing on a rotten, busted-off stump of a cypress tree and then on a floating piece of log next to it. And then again, we've got some fungus and some molds floating on the surface of the water, and some cypress knees and some little fungal growths, and I've got some little shelf fungus growing on the side of the rotted log. And then we have the rest of these little bros. I made 2 bases for them, and then depending on how you spin it, they're able to have different looks. These are the 2 bases. Little raised chunks of slightly eroded dirt sticking out of the water with some moss and mold growing up on the edges of it, and then the usual arrangement of, we got some roots, we got some fungus, we have some little vines hanging off of the edge there, down into the water, we got some cypress knees, keeping it all on theme. I'm pretty happy with how the bases came out for this whole team. I think they look really fucking nice. Obviously, it'll look better once I get some color on this. Definitely some vibrant colors for the various molds that are down in the water. The models came together nice. They didn't need much gap filling in the end. And the last two. One random guy who, for whatever reason, has to be holding a blowgun. Wasn't any option for him, so I just went with it. Gave him a shield. Oh, my camera just froze. That's 2 streams in a row after it not happening for, like, the better part of a year. That's kind of strange. Let's fix it. Okay, all better. But, Dr. Rhino, if you are interested in some of those bases, I will happily print them off for you. Nice Xander Shade. Very nice. Get myself a little bit more of that. What did I just do with the paint I was using? God, this is my favorite game. There it is. Yeah, I was a big fan of the email that he sent out that was like, click on the link below to confirm that you want to have a job. Like,
welcome back to 50 Shades of Coal Gray. And as he pulled his stiff bristles out of my wet fluids, I yelled out, "No, Thunderhead! You need to thin that paint first!"
Offering people 3-month severance, and all they have to do is not respond to your fucking email right before the holidays, considering how many of those employees could easily pick up jobs elsewhere in the fucking tech sector. Like, yeah, no wonder he lost 50% of it. That's the thing, too, Nash's Workshop. Any sensible IT anything, anybody with any sense of self-preservation would think that that is a fucking phishing scam, but apparently this is an official email from your boss. That should be a fucking red flag right there. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Twitter seems like it's fucking dead, and it's astonishing how quickly it happened. Which is why I say it's tempting. The conspiratorially minded might be tempted to think, oh, this is an intentional move on his part. I think it's entirely possible that he's just a fucking moron. Because who the hell would do that? He's still, out the $44 billion that he spent on it, which it wasn't worth in the first place. Exactly, Azri. Anybody who'd been paying attention knew that Twitter was one of those weird businesses that thrived on its like cultural and social relevance, but never really made money. It was never like really profitable to own. It was just it occupied a very strange space in the tech business sphere. Its valuation was always complicated, and then when he went into buying it, well, I don't want to get into like an in-depth analysis of the purchase, because plenty of people have already done that, and it's fucking mind-boggling. You know what always frustrates me? And this is the most like petty, asinine, childish thought, but I'm going to share it with you guys, because I'm sure that on some level you have it. On some level it occurs to you before your mind goes, just kick that out of your mind, because that's an idiotic thing to think. But I always think to myself, like, fucking assholes like that, just dipshits like him have all this money that there is no way to argue that they earned it. There is no way to argue that they earned it. They lucked into most of it and then failed upwards to the limitations of their fucking idiocy. And I look at it and I just think, God, what I could do with 1 fucking 100% of his fortune. How that would completely change the texture of my life. But that infantile prick gets to swing that around like nothing. Gets to just be a complete douchebag about it, and I'm over here worrying about, like, thousands of dollars at any given time. This is why I say it's an infantile thought, because essentially what I'm saying is the world isn't fair. Which, it isn't. But also, fuck that moron. I'm with you, Xandershade. Twitter can burn for all I care. Eat the rich. Well, you're not going to get much sarcasm out of me, Roland. I'm not a big fan of this whole... This tendency in the modern world for people to sit on piles of wealth like human fucking dragons. That's all those. I believe, yes, let's do the big ones. Yeah, that's also an issue, Voxel Forge. Proves anything, it proves that with enough compound interest, anyone can fail upwards, unabated, no matter how hell-bent they are on failing. Yeah, I don't disagree. If there's anything the last 10 years should have taught us, it's that having money doesn't prove that a person is smart. It just proves that the world is a fucking nightmare. Life ain't fair. Never was. So I occupy most of my thoughts and energy with painting toys. Expensive toys. Because if I think too much about it, oh my god, do I get depressed. Evening to Square, how you doing? We're talking about Revolution, you in? It's okay, Roland. We'll save a space for you at the barricades, buddy. Looking for ways to improve my printing process before I print my Annihilator, and the biggest flaws in the Loki, the bottom surfaces that couldn't touch the build plate. Couldn't touch as in you're trying to print flat? And what type of printing? You're printing large ones, right? So I'm going to assume FDM and not resin. That's fair, Xanders. I never encourage a topic of conversation that might actually become confrontational, and I always do choose to explicitly and knowingly kill it before it does, because at the end of the day, as much as the world is a screaming nightmare, none of us are here to really get into that. We're here because... Well, we love toys, and we love painting them. This is sort of a wonderful neutral ground for all of us. But point taken. So much surface area. I have to say, I really do appreciate the fact that on these, they leave these hollows through to the bottom, so you can actually prime black inside, like, the skulls and not leave gray plastic. That's a nice touch. I love painting my angry dollies. Me too, man. Me too. Hey, bro. Sames. And based on that announcement that I'm not quite ready to give the full details on, it turns out I might be painting dollies or designing dollies for a good long time as part of something vaguely resembling an actual career, which is real exciting for me. Again, more details to come. More details to come. We're almost there. This seems like an airbrush job. Most of this was an airbrush job, Azri. These parts down here, I'm doing by hand. I got my base tones for the bamboo and the bone in with an airbrush. The rest of it's going to be washing, dry brushing, and a little bit of handwork. And I'm only doing this down here as a base coat so that I can dry brush it before I do the washes and dry brushing on the rest of it. How would I replicate the style/design of the Final Fantasy Tactics terrain? Well, now that's an interesting thought that I've literally never had. I would have to think some about that. Certainly an evocative style. Hey, Dwegham, how you doing today, man? Well, I'm painting terrain, so I gotta be doing something right. Just in life in general. What that is, I'm not entirely sure. Painting a Hoosier dude. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I said. I really do like the design of this terrain. The carnivorous trees are a neat touch. Alright, I think that's all that needs to... Oh, nope, wait, not quite. I missed one spot. Doesn't need to be super precise on the inside, just needs to be brown. Oh, fantastic, Dwecom. And thank you for the reminder. I'll send you over those other files for the 40mm and for the 90mm ovals. And I'd love to see the results when you get some of them painted, my man. There we go. Riot Sister, thank you so much for the reminder. Oh. Just got my first 3D print from a seller on Etsy. It's UV resin, and is there anything I need to know about prepping it? Okay, I think the most important thing I could tell you about prepping UV resin is that if you're going to sand it or scrape it or generate particulate from it in any way, shape, or form, wear a mask, don't breathe it in. That shit is toxic. Don't get it in your lungs. That's another thought that it can be worth doing is find the spot on the model that would be most likely to have an internal void, the spot with the most volume, and a spot on it that you're not going to be angry if you damage, and just drill into it and see if any resin leaks out. That'll check if it is hollow or not. Ideally it would not be, or if it was hollow it would have a vent hole somewhere. Finding the application/painting, a pain in the ass. Doing tiny mech cockpits may not have been the best choice. That is always tricky. Color is turning out decent even after one coat, and the bottle says 3 to 4 thin coats. I think my first coat is probably a bit thicker than they suggest. It's always kind of tricky to judge paint when you're painting Battletech because most painting applications are for a larger scale. And we're, you know, trying to apply it to teeny tiny mech cockpits and lasers and shit. It's true. It's true he did. Indeed, Crypt Shadow. He convinced me to go in on it so that I could get some games at Adepticon, which is why we're getting it done with the quickness. Well, and see, I never go in for, like, I do play 40k Kill Team. I don't play the main 40k game. I do play Kill Team. I never go in for their box sets because I don't need sci-fi terrain. I have tons of sci-fi terrain. I don't really have much fantasy terrain. I have some, but far, far less. So the Warcry box did make some sense for me. I got 2 teams and a good amount of thematic terrain. Oh, just remember when you're doing that sanding, man, wear a mask. Don't get that dust in your lungs. I maintain that if they announce, because probably they're going to announce 10th edition of 40k next year. If they announce 10th edition, and in that announcement are included the phrases in a prescriptive sense, alternating activations and D10, I'm in. I'll jump back in. I'll try it out. But I need those alternating activations, and if they're gonna have as many units, as many weapons, as many crazy fucking things as they have in the game now, they're gonna have to move away from the D6 and onto a more expansive damage chart, because shit's just ridiculous now. They've confined their... It made sense back in the day. There were a very limited number of unit and weapon profiles, but there's so many now that confining it to a table based on a D6 alone leaves most units in a strange place and leaves balance in a... Well, it fluctuates very violently. And I'm not obsessed with balance in the sense that, like, tournament players are, but I do like a game to be reasonably balanced. Reasonably, or at least there to be an attempt at it. And I realize that might be a little hypocritical of me, coming from, you know, like, 4th and 5th edition. But, you know, an attempt would be nice. And with a D10 damage chart, that would be a whole fucking lot easier to do. You're probably right, Stig. And then there'll be some bullshit about how 9th is still a living game and you can play it even though we're on 10th, so don't even worry about it. The 9th edition Guard Codex will release shortly after the big book for 10th. I'll even deal with the stupid story beats. I'll deal with it. I'll suck it up and just be okay with the fact that Primaris Marines exist, even though that's really quite dumb. Just give me alternating activations. I need you to get the baseline functionality of your game on par with the industry standards of the last 10 years. I feel like that's the least I can require. Alright, 2 more, and then we can move on to the next step. I like this terrain piece. This is really kind of the centerpiece of this box. The Watchtower piece. This is nice. The skull built very, very nicely. I was kind of surprised at how well it went together. I know, Asri. What I'm essentially saying is I'll never play it again. But I like to set these little, like, gates so that I can blame it on them not doing what I want, rather than admit to being a contrarian asshole too often. I mean, I am one, but... yeah, no, not a chemical respirator. Even a dust mask would be fine. You're just trying to keep resin particulate from getting into your lungs. You don't need, like, a vapor respirator or anything like that. If you have one, it will work. But even, like, a painter's dust mask will work just fine for that purpose. Alright, 1 piece to go. Oh, that's right, I put this up in the tree. This is the Kroot proxy I was talking about. You see the Predator inspiration with the little over-the-shoulder gun, and then the sort of face mask with the breathing apparatus, and obviously the boobs. Who can forget the boobs? This is just what happens when people make female 40k inspired sculpts. But yeah, I intend to use this with the Kroot kill team. This is from Grim Skull, or Wargame exclusive, who I believe is a Ukrainian sculptor. I have a few pieces from him, including something else I do eventually intend to get to, that being a similar boobified female tech priest, who I intend to paint what is meant to be a bare chest as more of like skin-tight latex. It's a cool model. It's very detailed. I like the Dr. Octopus style mechadendrites that connect her to the base. Oh, do they have it for free, Voxel Forge? Nice. People have recommended that game to me. People have recommended that movie to me. I still haven't watched the new Evil Dead. Is it good? I'm always surprised when I hear people say anything good about it, because I just assumed it was going to suck. No, not Ash versus the Evil Dead, but just the Evil Dead movie, the remake. Ah. It was dull? Oh. I heard it was kind of just more like a standard horror movie than you might expect. What would being called the Evil Dead. Just shock horror? Okay, so it kind of loses the identity that made it worthwhile in the first place. That's disappointing. I'm definitely an Evil Dead 2 fan over an Evil Dead fan, Evil Dead 2 being almost more of a fucking comedy, while still being genuinely upsetting in some parts. So, this one is not. I am using my Vallejo Game Extra Opaque Heavy Sienna. But Pro Acryl does have almost precisely the same color. No worries, Riot Sister. I need to finish watching Ash vs. the Evil Dead, because I quit during a season break, and then it came back, and I guess it got canceled at a certain point, and I just never finished what exists, but... God, it was funny. It was... The parts that I saw of it, I thoroughly enjoyed. Alright, let's apply a wash to what we just did. I'm thinking some AP Quick Shade Strong Tone. Who did turn up as Ash's dad? I haven't seen that part. Or is it enough of a surprise that I shouldn't know? Looks like it's going down smooth. Dweghom, I do recommend, Vallejo Game Color's Extra Opaque line is really quite nice. It's heavily pigmented and it thins very well. I use a couple from them. I use their Heavy Blue Gray and their Ghost Gray in Game Color Extra Opaque. Blank Walker, welcome in. I need my little porcelain cups here for the washing. I'm going to scoot this up a little bit to make some room. What's the Ghost Gray like? I have like 5 bottles of this because this is my favorite, like, near white cool color. I love Ghost Gray. I use this. I'm going to use this today. I'm going to use this as a final dry brush on most of these colors here. I will regularly have 2 or 3 bottles of this. It's one of my personal favorites. Oh, Piccolo. That's really? Okay. Just wash out. I need some flow aid. Let's add that in. Did you see it, Dweghom, or were you like buffering? Well, obviously, it's the crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery flavor of... Wait, no, that's the wrong commercial. Paused for like 7 seconds, then continued. Looked good. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it is one of my favorite go-to colors. I always have a few bottles of it on hand. I use it for dry brushing constantly. It's just a great color. And you know, with painting, it's not necessarily that it's better than anything else. I'm sure there are other comparable colors out there from other lines, but you know, as a painter, you just wind up with some colors that are like your go-to for certain tasks. And my preference is definitely for Vallejo's Ghost Gray. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. Bop it, twist it, kick it. Oh, for some Darktide Dweghom, you have a good time, man. I've heard good things, and pretty please when you get some of those bases painted. I would love, love, love to see them. You know, I'm gonna take a look, Roland, and see what I can't come up with, because that's a very interesting idea. I appreciate what you're trying to do. Alright. We are just going through the process on each one of these. It is not the most riveting paint jobs, I know, but, you know, I need some terrain by Thanksgiving, so this is what we're doing. I'll be bringing this terrain with me, Rhino. We'll play a game on this stuff. Good God, Rhino. I don't think that was a bop it that your parents bought you, buddy. I don't know how to tell you this.
When the box said Ass Pounder 4000, I thought that was because the mascot was a donkey.
Thank you, Roland. Yes. Oh, we are such a classy bunch of motherfuckers around here. Backdoor Sluts 9. Makes Naughty Nurses 6 look like Anal Invaders 5. Do-do-do-do, applying some wash. I got some of them Var, whatchamacallums. Pro Acryl washes on their way from Steel Warrior Studios to give a try. I haven't used any of their washes yet. Have you guys seen that there's a sitcom coming out on Netflix called Blockbuster that is about like one of the last open Blockbusters and like the crazy things that happen in the workplace there? It looks like it's starring Randall Park. Is it boring? I have no intention of watching it. I just saw that it exists and I thought to myself like, wow. The Blockbuster did not see this coming when they passed on the opportunity to buy Netflix a couple of decades ago. Netflix is literally making a show that plays on the fact that Blockbuster is played out and dying. Essentially dead. Randall Park is funny. But his performance can't save a bad script, and in my experience, he winds up with a lot of bad scripts, which kind of sucks. I want better for Randall Park, because I really like his performances, and I've seen some of his writing, too, and he's pretty good. Oh, hopefully I'll see you then, Sumitha. I'm waiting on Witch from Mercury until the whole first series is out, and then I'm gonna probably binge it. But I've heard good things about it so far. There was one guy who came to me talking about Witch from Mercury and was like, oh my god, and it's actually set in the Universal Century, which is how I discovered that he doesn't know what the Universal Century is. It was adorable. It was adorable. I'm still friends with that guy too. He's alright. I watched the prologue, which had that. Yes, it's not UC. The Witch from Mercury is not Universal Century, Stig. Did it? I haven't watched Unicorn. I genuinely don't know if that's true or not. It very well may be. Been enjoying Chainsaw Man. So I keep seeing mentions of Chainsaw Man and I don't know anything about it. Is this worth watching? I keep seeing like memes and visuals and it looks interesting, but I don't know how much interest I really have in picking up a new anime. I've been rewatching Standalone Complex lately because I've heard terrible things about Standalone Complex 2045. Which I confess makes me sad. Isn't that what the SAC stands for? Standalone Complex, if I got it wrong. What else could it possibly stand for? And I assume that the plot does ultimately revolve around a standalone complex, like the first 2 series did. Admittedly, in the second gig, the standalone complex was, I believe, manufactured by a psychopath with a fucked up face, but it was still a standalone complex. See, I'm not against it in Ash's Workshop, but it has to be done well. It can't just be used as a replacement for standard hand-drawn animation. Like, that's kind of what wound up happening to the latest season of... Or not the latest, but the second to last season so far of Attack on Titan, when it transferred from Mappa to... What's the studio that took over? I don't remember. But the studio that took over had a very limited amount of time to make the latest season, and they leaned heavily on CG animation. Which is, it's fine to use. They've used it in previous seasons of it, but when it went from hand-drawn supported by CG to almost full CG, it was jarring. Particularly since Mappa's hand animation was so good. And you fucking loved it, Rhino. We're not done yet. We still got a bunch of weird shit to go, apparently. I do too, though I've heard that their Cyberpunk show was meant to just be a one-off. Getting some of that warm color down in the recesses of the green here. I want Studio Trigger to animate everything, because they're fucking amazing. I'm sorry to hear that, Vergatarong. That is... I've seen some reviews for SAC 2045 saying things like, I want to like it, but the animation is so distracting that it's hard to even follow the plot. And I'm like, that... It really sucks coming from, like, Standalone Complex and Second Gig, because they used 3D animation even back in the early 2000s, but it was in support of the hand-drawn stuff, and the hand-drawn stuff was beautiful. Like, it's one thing if the animation was never particularly good, but Standalone Complex had gorgeous animation. Still does, and ages beautifully because it's stylized and hand-drawn. You can watch it today and it's just as good as it ever was. That sounds like money well spent to me, Rhino. I mean, because of the passing of Kevin Conroy, I've gone back and I've been rewatching Batman the Animated Series and like Justice League and JLU, and it still looks so good because it was hand-drawn animation. It's timeless and stylized to the point where, like, there's no point in redoing it. Why would you ever? It's perfect just how it is. Oh, absolutely. Well, without Conroy, I have, personally, essentially zero interest in any future animated Batman, you know? I mean, there have been other animated Batman voices who have been pretty good. I liked Peter Weller in The Dark Knight Returns for what it was, even though I'm not a huge fan of that story. Haven't seen Claymore, it's worth it, though I'm sad it had to be such a ham-fisted ending on account of we can't be sure we'll get a second season, so let's skip like several years worth of books. I'll have to check that out. Well, there is. Now, I'm not saying all hand-drawn stuff will always look good. Nash's Workshop, there are certainly examples of poorly done and cheaply done hand-drawn animation. But in the cases where hand-drawn animation was done well, was heavily stylized, was taken seriously, the point is that it ages perfectly. Like, really good CG from the 90s does not age particularly well. The really good stuff will age okay, but will always hit a point where technology outstrips it, and it becomes jarring to see because you're used to better CG. But hand-drawn animation, when done well, never ages. Outside of arguably stylistically, as far as styles that come or go from, being more popular. But that's pretty minor. Yeah, like Stargate CG, for instance. It's the same reason that a lot of practical effects age particularly well. Why the original The Thing still looks fucking good, but the fully CG 2011 The Thing looks kinda goofy. We're used to better CG by now. We're not used to better practical effects, because there's no such thing. You really want to do that, Dr. Rhino? Okay, Terminator 2. Boom. Done. Next. Because Terminator 2 knew the limitations of its available CG and chose its animation very carefully. They could do a liquid metal effect. That was about the extent of what they could do well, so that's what they did. And it still looks good. I mean, obviously, Lawnmower Man. Do I even need to mention that? I can't finish that sentence. Yeah, The Matrix is a damn good example. From the sense of full CG content, I would put forward both Final Fantasy Advent Children and Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. They actually look pretty good still. Not perfect, mind you, but pretty good. For what they are. But I always maintain it's a poor artist who blames his tools, so what it's going to come down to is whether the artists making the film knew what they were doing, or not. Independence Day still looks pretty good. Independence Day also used a lot of practical effects for the close-up stuff, which definitely helps it. I mean, I would have to put forward, even though it's like super obvious for me, it's 10 years old now, just about, will be 10 years old next year. Pacific Rim still looks fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. And I think that 10 years is a reasonable gate to use for something that would otherwise have aging CGI. There are CGI movies from its era that don't look anywhere near as good as it does. Ooh. Now I want to see someone edit that together, Rhino. Get my planet's name out of your damn mouth! I maintain that, oh my god, Independence Day is such a... it's not really a very good movie. It's like the beginning of the end for Roland Emmerich. And by the beginning of the end, I mean the beginning of a pretty long and fairly successful career that only really came to an end recently with that piece of shit Moonfall. But I maintain that, just for a moment, you know the beginning of Independence Day when it's like the guy playing golf at SETI and people getting phone calls and the president's like, oh my god, there's aliens coming to Earth, oh! And then eventually we get to the scene where we meet Will Smith's character when he's waking up at his house. Imagine for a moment that like 10-15 minutes of the movie prior to that scene just didn't happen. Imagine for a moment that the movie started with Will Smith waking up in bed and his wife like rolling over and hitting him with her arm and saying, "Oh, it's not even the whatever scale. Go back to bed, honey," because they felt an earthquake and they're living in like Los Angeles. Like, it's not even a magnitude whatever. Go back to bed. It's no big deal. It's just an aftershock. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he gets up out of bed. He goes over and he's like taking a pee. And he looks out the window and he sees the neighbors across the street and they're packing. And he's like, oh, such and such is going on vacation again. She's like, And he's like out and he's like making coffee and he's looking and more people are running down the street and packing their shit. And he's like, what the hell? And he goes outside with his coffee and he looks up and he sees the ship over the city. Imagine if that had been the fucking beginning of the movie. Tell me that's not a better movie. Honestly, tell me that's not a better movie. Just right there. Okay, I walked into that one. But I'm right. Opinions, Rhino. Opinions are like assholes. Mine's better. Hey, Kaylee, how you doing today? That's coming. It's a boring process, but it is a process that I am actively engaged in. You could start a company based on how boring it is. Terrain painters are us. Blade. Yeah, amusing CGI is a good way to put that, because, man, go back and look at the CGI for the vampires exploding, or like when Stephen Dorff gets cut in half and pulls himself back together with like a weird blood tether. That's some rough CG, man. What are you talking about, Nash? The scene that I just said? That was in Blade 1. Poor Blade 3. I don't actually hate Blade 3. It's not like a great movie, but I do have a greater appreciation for Blade 2 in retrospect. Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? No. Excuse me, sir, I have seen Blade. I was there. I saw it in theaters. Thoughts on Marshala Ali as Blade? I think if I had to have a thought on it, if I had to present that thought would be I couldn't be paid to give a shit. Those, like, I can't pretend that I'm a fan of the Blade character in the comic books. I'm not. I'm a fan of those movies. Blade 1 and Blade 2. They were a lot of fun because of who was working on them. And past that, I'm not saying that another Blade movie couldn't be good, but I'm not going to give a shit about it until it comes out and proves itself to be good. I'm sure he could do a fine job, but my primary fear for it is that it's a Disney movie, so it's rated PG-13. And if it's not rated R, the chances of me enjoying it are pretty low. Not impossible, but pretty low. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that Joy of Painting minis. He shows up on the Vampire Council, doesn't he? Fucking Wesley Snipes, like Skypes into the Vampire Council call. I did forget that happened. Oh, does he? I haven't seen season 3. Oh, that's Donald Logue. Donald Logue shows up in season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. Oh, that's kind of cool. I might have to watch it then. I got distracted from... I wasn't a big fan of... I think I started season 3, and I wasn't a huge fan of the direction it was going. And then I got distracted by Wellington Paranormal, and I just haven't gotten back to it yet. Ooh, Rhino, keep up the good work, buddy. I knew that Mark Hamill makes a cameo. I think I saw Mark Hamill's cameo. It might have been one of the only reasons I stuck around. It started to get a little flanderized and played out, and I was more amused by Wellington Paranormal. I think the trouble is that the writing that I really like in What We Do in the Shadows comes directly from Jermaine Clement. I really like Jermaine Clement's sense of humor. And Jermaine Clement stopped writing for What We Do in the Shadows, and he went over to work on Wellington Paranormal, so I kind of just followed him over there. I don't think that What We Do in the Shadows is bad, necessarily. It's just not being written by Jermaine Clement, and I really, really like his particular comedy writing style. That and Wellington Paranormal also has a What We Do in the Shadows connection, in that they are the two cops that we follow in Wellington, New Zealand, are the same cops that were called to the House of the Vampires in the movie What We Do in the Shadows. They were the ones that got called over for the noise complaint, and then they enchanted them so they didn't see all the corpses. And I think what I like best about it is they're set up like a like a Mulder and Scully type paranormal investigator team, but they literally solve nothing in any of the episodes. They solve nothing at all. Every single time they do anything related to the paranormal, at the end of the episode, it's either exactly the same or worse than they found it. And it's fucking hilarious. So their bases are not done yet, Kaylee. I'm going to be sculpting and printing those up this weekend, is the plan. I do have the concept finished, and it won't take me long to do. I have the bases done for the Swamp Guys. I just need to finish the bases for the Horns of Hashut, and then this whole set will be damn near done. Where's that show available? I want to say I watch it on Amazon. Is it on Hulu? Okay, excellent. I think Wellington Paranormal is funnier, honestly. But again, that's my... I've been watching Jermaine Clement since, like, Flight of the Conchords, so... I'm a little biased. I still wish that Rhys Darby had gotten his show We're Wolves. Rhys Darby is a funny guy when other people are writing for him. I don't know if you guys have watched like Rhys Darby's stand-up. When he's writing, he's not funny. At least I didn't find him funny. But his delivery is so good. I have not seen Gentlemen Broncos, and I fully admit that is a failing on my part. They were working on Werewolves, but it just never happened. I don't know if there was a specific event that killed it, but it just seems like it died in development hell. It gets referenced in Wellington Paranormal. They have some of the werewolves that were with Rhys Darby in that. They also have, was his name Stu? Or not Stu. The Stu was the guy who became a werewolf, but the young vampire that they turned in the movie, he shows up in Wellington Paranormal. And he's just fucking terrible. He's awful at being a vampire. He, like, can't glamour people. He keeps trying and it just doesn't work. Wouldn't that be something, Xander Shade? Alright, need a little bit more wash. I'll check out Gentlemen Broncos. It's one of those that's been on my list forever, and I just never think to actually sit down and watch it. But I've heard enough about it from enough people that clearly I need to. And I also love Sam Rockwell. I've loved Sam Rockwell ever since as a kid he asked regular or menthols. Aaron Heath Art, welcome in, my friend. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am doing well. Thank you so much for asking. We're doing some real boring shit tonight, and I do apologize, but it's... Look, it's painting that needs done, okay? It can't all be sexy. Doodly-doodly-doo. Back on the topic of Blade 3. It was horrible, but looking at it like a bad movie with Ryan Reynolds' funny moments. Have a hard time watching Sam after watching Choke. I don't think I've seen Choke. My favorite Sam Rockwell performance is probably in Moon. Followed up closely by Galaxy Quest. Is Choke anything like I sometimes struggle with... I really like Patrick Wilson, but I sometimes struggle with him because one of the first movies I saw him in was Jawbreaker. Or... Not Jawbreaker. Jawbreaker is the one where the girl dies and the sorority girls kill a girl. Hard Candy, that's what it's called. The one with the young and still feminine Elliot Page. And yeah, that makes it hard because he's like a really good actor and he plays, you know, like a fucking pedophile, and that's a difficult role to forget. Like he's genuinely a great actor. But it is hard to forget Hard Candy. Oh, who was he in the A-Team remake? I remember Charlton Copley was Mad Murdock. I think, wasn't Liam Neeson Hannibal? If I had to guess, Patrick Wilson was probably Faceman, but I don't remember. I haven't watched that movie, but like when it first came out. Oh, okay. Yeah, that shows what I remember about that movie. Not a lot. Okay. What's up next? Well, I've got more places to apply strong tone to, so that's what we're gonna keep doing. I just realized I meant to do it to the bamboo too, so let's just keep washing. Well, let's do the bone as well. Why the hell not? It's all getting pretty much the same treatment. Hey, I'm washing here. You had to go and mention Sam Rockwell, and now I'm thinking about Galaxy Quest, which means I'm almost inevitably going to have to watch Galaxy Quest in the next 24 hours. Because it's just that kind of movie. Damn it. By Grapthar's Hammer. What a savings. Oh, Iberben. Dr. Rhino, go get you some sleep so you can get your pump on, baby. Wonderful to see you here. Iberben, how you been, man? How's things? How's life? I'm a little ashamed to admit that I was in San Antonio and didn't come see you, but I was on a very restricted schedule. Good news words. The good news is I'll probably be in the area again before too long, and that time we should make sure that we reconnect. You know what? I'll let you, Rhino. As long as somebody records it, I'm down. Yeah, I was only in for a couple of nights. I didn't get a chance to see many people except the few that I was there specifically to see. I got a chance to see Robin briefly for lunch, but that was kind of the limit of my extracurriculars. Wash, 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 wash. I did go see the new location for Core Gamers and was fairly impressed. New space is nice. Would have been nice if they had moved there while I still lived in town, since they moved several miles closer to my house. Along the route that I used to take to get there, even. A 6 a.m. flight, good lord. Why? Where? What? Huh? If God gives you lemons, you find a new God. Oh, okay, that's not half bad. Tobean Lord, welcome in, man. Good to see you. Oh, there's another game store close to my old place? Awesome. I'm so glad that they waited until I left. It's not like I would have patronized them to the tune of hundreds or thousands of dollars or anything like that. Oh, need more wash. I'm gonna go through this whole damn bottle by the end of this. I assume pleasure rather than business, what with going to Hawaii. Jesus, really? That is seriously like right next to where I used to live. It's like blocks away. That's fucking stupid. I am frustrated. Oh, nice. A little tropical Thanksgiving. Well, that should be fun. We're just doing a snowy Friendsgiving up here this year, but yeah, we really do. Let's genuinely make a point of seeing each other inside of the next year. I think that we can probably pull that off. Could have walked and been a sweaty gamer. That's what people like, isn't it? At your friendly local game store, they appreciate if their opponents are covered in sweat and stankin' of BO. I've heard that. I read that in Sweaty Gamer Monthly. Oh, I forgot how much I love just batch painting terrain. It's, oh my god, it's so nice. Hey, Mafik. How you doing, man? Sleep tight, Everbent. Dude, thank you for stopping in. It's genuinely great to see you. Have a good flight. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tell the family hi for me, even though most of them don't know who I am. And I hope to see you soon. Leading with the torso facing upward, hoping the back turns out kind of okay. Now you're doing this FDM, right, Xander Shade? Do you use support interfacing? And if you don't, I suggest you try it. The side facing the plate is never going to be the prettiest, but with support interfacing, you can at least make the supports easy to remove and wind up with a pretty good looking bottom surface, relatively speaking. Well, thanks for saying so, Tobin. We're using simple, proven techniques to get it done real quick like. Because I need to use this stuff on Thanksgiving, so it needs to be painted quick, fast, and in a hurry like. Gonna start that print after my last conference call today, so it'll finish like 3 hours from now. Dope! Oh. I hate when I forget to do stuff like that. It was planned out so well in my head, but it just didn't translate to reality. Okay, good. Yeah, interfacing is definitely going to help you with that. As far as getting a pretty backside on that there print. Oh my god. Okay, that's all the bamboo on those pieces. Now we are on to the big pieces. I got extra strong tone. I usually have 2 bottles of it. I might not. I hope I don't need to get another one before I finish this project. I mean, I can always just run into town and get one, but I fucking hate having to do that. I'll have to look in the rest of my supplies. The more I use this, the more I realize I am going to use up at least a full bottle of strong tone by the time I get to the end of this terrain. Which is okay, I just need to plan for it. Nash, thanks for hanging out, man. Some motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill. You know, sometimes we gotta be that guy. Nash, thanks for hanging out, dude. Have a fucking great day. Have a fantastic weekend. We're gonna have one more stream before there's a Thanksgiving break, so I hope to see you on Sunday, my man. Oh, so much washing. At least I don't have to do the underside. That's something. All the strong tone in the world. Get off. Gonna end up using some AP speed paints for the ties and the cabling on here. Give it the strong tone treatment for now anyway, so it at least starts to stand out. Tried a sacrificial tower, lost adhesions, and I'm doing 2 figures per batch on opposite corners of the bed instead of 1 in the center. That's an interesting way to work around it. my god, so many textured areas. It's like every time I do one, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a whole other side to it. Thankfully, this is, I think, the largest of the bamboo platforms, so it can only get easier from here. Because clearly this is super hard work and not just kind of boring. Right. Let's set that on its side so it doesn't drip too much off of those spots. Let's do the watchtower, since it has less. Tried any of the PLA resin? I have not. I have not at all. I'm curious about it. Ooh, good lord, crossbow roof. We only got like maybe 4 or 5 inches last night, and even that, I had to actually go out and shovel this morning. God, I was bitter about it. First time this year. Yeah, that's a bit hefty, though. I hope everything is all right. Journeyman Paint Hour. Hey, peeps, hitting that 19-month mark. Journeyman, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you for your support. But more than anything, thanks for being here, man. How you doing? It's good to see you. I think I'll go ahead and use some of this on the big skull to get started shading it too. I am gonna end up having to buy another bottle of this shit to finish this. Damn it. I guess I should have realized that when I understood that I was going to be using the same shade for 90% of the surface area on this model. These models, this set. Hey, Data Nerd, how you doing? How was the scouting? Well, that's good. Low smell and irritancy, good toughness and impact resistance, and hydrophobic. Again, I haven't really looked closely at it, but I do find the concept intriguing. I'm going to go kind of light on this wash on the bone, because I think I'm going to follow it up with sort of a yellow sepia wash. I just want to get the deep details starting to pop out. And this skull is composed of like 6 pieces, and I have to say, they did a pretty good job of hiding the seams, because there are seams across its face. The only ones you can really see are meant to be breaks in the various plates of the skull, anyway. Ordered more Cryotube series of Mega Bloks, Halo. Nice, Mafik. You're gonna have quite the collection. Hope you're doing alright today, Mafik, by the way. I hope that, I mean, you know, there's only a certain amount of alrightness that will be possible for you right now, but I hope you're having as good a day as you can. Heavier in here just for good measure. I don't want to let that pool too much. I want to let it pool some. Not so much that it's going to give me tide marks. Oh god, why is this skull so big? just keeps going and going, and every time I think I'm at the end of it, I find a new portion. A little in here for good measure, since that's also skull. Not going to get too detailed in there since it's an internal void space. Just want to give it a little bit of shading. Hit the broken top of the skull. Alright, now a little bit on the horn, and I'm going to worry about that shading later because I think I'm going to do some work to differentiate it from the bone. Because horn and bone are not the same material. It's like your teeth aren't really bone. I missed the inside of the nasal cavity there. Lots of Darktide crashes. I mean, you know, now's the time. Now's the time for Darktide to fuck up before it releases to people like me. It's what you get. It's what you get for being a tester, Verg. Enjoy it. That's too much pooling. We don't want that, and we don't want that. Pull it out and away and spread it around a little bit. Darken down this cheek a little bit. All right. Oh god, it's 8:20 and I'm still just applying wash. Fucking terrain painting. Eats a lot of time. That's okay. Folks, I'm gonna take a short break, stretch my legs, grab a little something more to drink, and when I get back, we'll go ahead and launch into the storm report. I've still got a lot of terrain painting ahead of me. Oh, a lot of it's washing. We'll probably be doing this again on Sunday, starting in with some dry brushing. That's going to be the fun part when the colors really start to pop out, because after the washes, it's just dry brushing, and then we're pretty much going to be done. So, folks, bear with me for just a couple of minutes. I will be back, and when I get back, we'll start the storm report, so if you don't have your entries in yet, make sure you get that done now. I'll see you in just a second. Welcome back. Christmas decorating. Christmas decorating. Journeyman Paint Hour. Oh. It's not time yet. It's not time yet, sir. Can you at least let me get through fucking Turkey Day before you go dropping that shit on me? Shiny Mew, how you doing, man? These things run reasonably good. How bad for me are they? Not really that bad. 160 calories. Some sugar. Heh. Oh yeah, Shiny Mew, where at? We're at in Colorado. These washes are settling in pretty nice anyway. A little dry brushing will bring these together. Oh, that's not far from where I am. I mean, you know, a couple hours, but not far, relatively speaking. We're on the same side of the mountains. November 1st? What the fuck are you talking about? It's a full month till Christmas. Ugh. I hate that holiday. The thing I like most about Christmas nowadays is most people just leave me alone during it, which is great. Alright, let's get... I feel like I should use this. Shouldn't let this go to waste, because I'm going to have to go buy more. I'm going to use up this wash, and then we're going to be done. Since I'm going to use the entire bottle and then get more, it just feels shamefully wasteful to let some dry up. We are. We're going to do the storm report. We're going to do the storm report, Roland, just as soon as I use up this last wash that I've got in my cup. Not putting any more down, I'm just using what's here. Because like I said, I realize I'm going to use all of this that I have in the bottle and then wind up having to go get another bottle of it. So I don't want to waste any. Letting a cup of it just dry and be useless chafes. I don't want to do it. Which, as it turns out, it wasn't quite enough to get me through one whole ribcage barricade. Come up a little short, but that's okay. I'll take a trip into FLGS tomorrow morning and pick up another bottle of this stuff that'll help me get through the rest of this set. I'm glad to hear that, Roland. Alright, rinsey rinse. I've got some of the Pro Acryl washes on the way that I'm going to give a try here pretty soon. Haven't used them before. But I mean, the rest of their line is so good, I've got high hopes. Alright, let me scoot a few of these things out of the way so that I'm not bumping them all over the place. Mostly my carnivorous trees, just get them out of the way. I think that bamboo is going to work out with a dry brush. I'm going to go a little bit heavier. Cut out some of the flow aid so I can get those little breaks in the bamboo. Really, Shiny Mew? Huh! I did not realize you were rooted in Colorado like I am. Oh, excuse me. Alright. Okay. Oh my god, yeah, now it's time for the storm report. Let's do it. Let's make it happen, folks. I'm gonna have to do it manually, because again, none of my buttons work, so here we go.
Alright, locusts and gentle mechs, get ready to feast your eyes on Ghur paint and wet palettes with the occasional culinary atrocity thrown in on tonight's storm report. Brought to you by viewers like you.
Swoop. There we go, there we go, there we go. Let me go ahead and pull up Discord and let's get this party started. Mafik, dude, you take the time that you need, man. That's you have a life event going on right now. Don't worry about us for a second. We're streaming goofy model painting. So you do your thing, man. All right. Let's see here. Let's organize this. Come down to the bottom and get started with opening the wrong window. Stop that. Go away. There, that's the window I want. Shablam! Up here first from Shiny Mew Paints, Smurf Mini. Have you ever had one of those days at the old hobby station, looked at your pile of potential and just thought, screw it, may as well slap some paint on a Mini? I do love those days. I've had them periodically. Not as often as I'd like, but you gotta seize that initiative when you get it. No, just me, but yeah, I wanted to just shut off my brain and paint for the lulz. Amazing what can be accomplished with 3 hours of painting while listening to Tabletop Minions on YouTube as well as from Goobertown Hobbies. Glad to have this one done. Sounds like a nice, productive session overall, Shiny Mew. Enhance. But we can get real far in on this guy. Shiny Mew. In all, like... First of all, for 3 hours... oh my god, excuse me. Oh, excuse me, I was choking on a peanut bar. How unattractive. Shiny Mew. I have had the distinct pleasure, and I do consider it a pleasure, of watching you kind of progress from some very early minis and paint a few and work on your fundamentals. I always think the fundamentals are some of the most interesting to watch a painter go through. Because they are the fundamentals. They're the foundation upon which all other painting is built. If you don't have those fundamentals, it doesn't matter what else you might want to do, it's not going to work. And looking at this mini, not great lighting, so we have a somewhat limited view, but what we do have a view of, what I'm seeing here, what I'm seeing are nice, smooth base coats that show good detail on the model through it, I'm seeing a good, opaque, smooth application of metallics, and I'm seeing some very clean detailing and cleanup here on the shoulder pad and around the chest eagle. Also, some really nice work getting that red in on the eye. This is a straightforward, simple, by-the-numbers ultramarine. For 3 hours of work, this looks damn good. And again, what I really want to focus on, Shiny Mew, you are showing major improvement when it comes to smooth base coats and when it comes to brush control. These are some of the most important skills you can possibly build as a painter, and I want to tell you right now, I am seeing substantive improvement in that field. Please, please, please keep up the good work. Also, nice assault intercessor you got going on there. And yeah, you know, as long as you're having fun, and getting the urge to paint a model, sitting down, going for 3 hours, and coming out with a Smurf you can pop on the table to a good tabletop standard, that's a good feeling, man. That's a good feeling. Keep going. It's only going to get faster and faster. Before you know it, a 3-hour paint session is going to churn you out 3 Marines at a time. And then you're going to get to the point where you're just like, let's make an army. Let's do it. Let's make an army this week. There are people who can pull that off. I'm not currently one of them because I overthink pretty much everything I'm doing to the point of having a deleterious effect on my productivity. But I swear it can be done. I've seen it. I've heard rumor. Really nice looking Ultramarine, man. Good work. All right. What do we got coming up next here from POV 42? Shablam. Jumping in the non-metallic metal deep end. It's all the deep end. I'm spending some time this week working on an in-depth diorama that will involve quite a bit of non-metallic metal, which is still a technique I'm mastering. I would just accept, POV, that you're going to be mastering that technique for the foreseeable future. It's the kind of thing where even once you get the basics down, like there are so many layers of it to work through, and then you'll start to develop a style of it that you in particular like. So go easy on yourself. What better way to learn than to really throw yourself in the deep end, right? This is the first batch in the project, a few gold highlights that will contrast with all the darker silver metal sections elsewhere in the piece. Let's have a little look here. Oh, I like it. First of all, nice blending. From the dark gold to the gold, really nice blending. There are a few stark transitions into the white. I would ease the white out a little bit. You want to use pure white very, very sparingly. Where you've got white right now, I guess it's tinted a little bit yellow. It's a little lemon. I was going to say, you want that wider band to be more of a lemon, and maybe like a couple of very, very narrow bands of pure white in there. And then make sure you get into the edges and also give that a couple of edge treatments of pure white to get the glare reflecting off of it. But man, you are on the right track so far. I appreciate how I can see you mapping out the volumetric highlights, mapping out the glare so that you have a consistent read across all the metal surfaces on the model. That's a very difficult thing to do. I think you're right, though, with a technique like this. Honestly, one of the best things you can do is just start doing it. If you overthink it too much, you're never going to get anything done. And non-metallic metal can be as simple as pick a panel, gradient from dark to light, lean into the contrast, white edge highlight, move on. You can get a decent looking non-metallic metal just doing that. The tricky part comes in when you want to have consistent light sources, consistent glare, consistency in your non-metallic metal across multiple surfaces that are at different angles, which is something that you're doing here, and I'm liking what I'm seeing, particularly down here on the gold panels on the legs. Their glare reads slightly differently, and that is definitely moving in the right direction. Now, I'm no expert on non-metallic metal myself. I've done it successfully a few times. I've had a lot of luck with it in oil. I'm probably going to be doing some more of it in oil here pretty soon because I just got sent a promo package from Parabellum, so we're going to be doing probably a Priory Commander and some Order of the Crimson Tower Knights. And because of how I decided to paint my 100 Kingdoms army, they're all going to have to be oil and they're all going to have to be NMM. So we're in the same boat right now, buddy. But you are on absolutely the right track here. I would say continue, don't be afraid of contrast. Do not be afraid of contrast. Lean some more into the darker spots here. You can go darker with that gold still. but your blocking is spot on, your colors look good. I say lean into the contrast. Even your blending is looking pretty good, man. You are on the right track, and I cannot wait to see the next step. Yeah, we've been away from 100 Kingdoms painting for a while, Plankwalker, so I feel comfortable getting into the Order of the Crimson Tower and the new Priory Commander, particularly since I've been waiting for them for a while, because I want to pivot my 100 Kingdoms army away from Militia, which was the dumbest choice I have ever made, and into Cavalry. I want to pivot that army into primarily Cavalry, and so the Priory Commander and the Mounted Noble Lord are going to be a big part of that. Same thing with the Mounted Squires and the Order of the Crimson Tower models. I'm going to need more of them. Friend and I hopped on the 2-player starter, so I got the 100 Kingdoms. Personally, I think the 100 Kingdoms are a lot of fun. You still, as of right now, have the best cavalry in the game. Other forces have cavalry. There's like the Centaur Avatara. Some of them have individually better stats, but none of them are as easy to put on the field in the kind of numbers that 100 Kingdoms can. So fucking lean into that, man. Get that Mounted Noble Lord done up, and that's a really nice thing, is that the starter box includes the Mounted Noble Lord. He is a great commander to use for 100 Kingdoms. Oh gee, I wonder if you're a little biased, DFW Dweghom. I wonder. Yes. I heard the next faction they're doing is City-States, and I have to admit I'm pretty excited for that. Let's see what we got up next. A little bit of business from Journeyman Paint Hour. Oh my god, I can't linger on this too long. I can't. What are you trying to do to me? The finest of art smoked a brisket for the first time. Came out delicious. Posted just to make Thunderhead's stomach rumble for that poster. Yeah, he did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. Yeah, I'm all about City-States, man. Give me some, like, fucking... First of all, I love the look of their hoplite infantry, but give me the Minotaurs, man. Let me paint some big-ass Minotaurs. I want it, I want it, I want it. Oh, that looks good. That's... Ooh. Oh. Oh, God, look at the smoke ring on it. That's... Oh. Oh. Well done. I like that we can see the progress from the top pick to the bottom pick here. You have just eaten this chunk. that has disappeared into somebody's stomach. Yeah, you know, the thing, Radio Santi, they're talking about so many different factions. I still think they're crazy when they start throwing around the numbers for the number of factions that they want. Like, I just don't think it's realistic. At some point, they're going to have to draw the line. So I would say that the good news is that the Weaver Courts are still, like, I understand them not wanting to get into them right away because they already have the Spires. And the Spires and the Weavers are two flavors of elf, and the setting is still somewhat limited as far as the factions they have. We have, you know, a human faction, an elf faction, a dwarf faction, an orc faction, an undead faction, and it looks like the next one we're gonna have is more of a magical fantasy human faction, and it makes sense that, well, we don't have, oh no, you're right, the Nords. Well, okay. Nords are a mixed human faction, because Nords also have like trolls and giants and wargs and things like that. City-States is also human, but City-States is another mixed human faction that is going to have like minotaurs and more Greek-inspired fictional beings in it. But I feel like Spires and Weavers are a more narrow distinction. Biomancy, like flesh biomancy versus wood biomancy, as opposed to, like, you know, human European, human Norse, human Greek. These are stylistically broader. Last known dragon and his dwarven retinue hold up in the spire where the Nords were made. Oh man. There's so much weird lore. So much weird lore in that game that I'm still not familiar with. Oh, what do we have up next? We got a little business here from Mafik. the Puppet Master. Arden is known for making plushies, dolls, and puppets because his real mom taught him how to tailor, and now he's been the skill that he's used for the children at the kindergarten and his son. What a thoughtful guy Arden is. I like the vulture that we got here. The vulture. Oh, we got a vulture, an archer, we got a mad cat, and we have the Atlas. The Atlas is still my favorite. The Atlas is definitely still my favorite, but I am a fan of the vulture as well. Mad cat, I mean, it's iconic. It's iconic, but I just can't forgive it. I have too many bad memories of getting my teeth kicked in by mad cats. We can't be friends. I legitimately want one of these Atlas puppets. Like, if someone could make me a plushy Atlas hand puppet, I would pay money for that. I absolutely would. Nice work. Nice work, Mafik. Something a little fun and upbeat to keep us going today. Up next, got a little extra business from Shiny Mew Paints, a Tuesday cancellation post, which is fair enough. Oh my god. Why do cats have to be such brats? Got to my painting station the day of this post, and this mini was on the floor off its base. Yeah, I sympathize. I really do. Thankfully nothing broke, but damn cat. Anywho, the thickling is close to being done, just need to rim the base. Hopefully my cat doesn't decide to yeet another miniature off my painting station. Yeah, what gets me too is they'll go a long time, like, never even approaching my paint desk, and then one day I'll find a whole series of minis on the ground. Like, as soon as I get lulled into a sense of complacency. Thickling indeed. Enhance. Holy moly. Somebody had fun with the inflate brush on this one. You know, Roland, everyone saw the joke, and you're the only one who made it. I'm just saying. I just want my Fey Core. It's got the Taster Mini from the tourney. I don't think I've seen the Taster Mini for the Fey Quartz. Radio Santi, you should post that in the Discord, or even just a link to like a render of it, because I genuinely don't think I've seen the Fey Quartz Taster. I've seen the Hoplite Taster for the City States, and I'm really digging their style. Holy hell. It's really something, Shiny Mew. I'm just gonna say, keep up those fundamentals, man. If that's what you're gonna keep working on, I mean, you're gonna be better at flesh tones than I am in no time. Shock, you're not helping things. What do we have up next? A little bit of business from Roland, it looks like. New tanks! 3D print from Etsy. It's a nice looking print. It's pretty clean. I dig it. Is this... Which force is this going to be joining, Roland? Xandershade coming in with the fucking the cold water in the comments there, but there's a decent chance it'll start cracking after a couple weeks, you know. And I sympathize. I really do sympathize with the Etsy sellers who've had that happen to them, because I've done it. I've done it to a few people. I just sent O'Coral some new minis because when I first started printing for people, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I wound up sending some prints to people that wound up cracking open and leaking resin. I mean, yeah, the answer is obvious now, Voxel Forge, and that is what I would advise to Roland, particularly on a tank where there's a huge amount of surface area facing the ground. It can't hurt to just pick, like, you know, lay out 5 points and just drill holes. And set it out and give it a chance to drain in case it does have an internal void space. Since the bottom is not going to be seen anyway, you have no good reason not to, and it's better to be sure, you know. And that one's from IG Makes. I've seen some more of their stuff. They've got a good eye on them for good printable detail. I would advise that, though. If it's not a seller that you're familiar with, that you know prints solid, it's always a good idea to find a spot, drill a hole, just in case. Again, I've done it to people myself. I didn't mean to. It's just... Excuse me. Happens to the best of us, or more accurately, to the least experienced of us. Oh, and then we have a little business here from NMO Xandershade. The return of my Ender 3. You know this printer and their work is solid? Okay, good. Good. Holes for magnets, yes. I mean, I sure hope so, Waffles. On a tank, I feel like there's no reason not to have them. After roughly 2/3 of a semester, I have my printer back up and running. And thanks to the upgraded hot end, even better than ever. Updating the firmware was a pain in the ass, but I won't have to deal with that again until I finally figure out how I want to install my smart filament sensor. Second pick is a bridge test with default settings, and I think my printer did extremely well. Let's have a look here. Damn. That's not bad. I'm not even seeing, like, a little bit of spaghetti. That looks like a little droop there on our top step, and these look like 2-inch, 50 to 60 millimeter, I'm guessing, bridges. That's some pretty damn good bridging. Very impressive. Let's have a look at the return of the Ender 3. Ah, wonderful to have it running again. Very slight separation on the top bridge, 50 millimeters. Yeah, okay, so about 2. Hey, what's up, Fair Service? How you doing? Yeah, no, that is, I agree, Voxel Forge, that is some quality bridging there. Very, very nice. It looks like, have you got a dual fan set up on either side? I haven't seen this new shroud from Ender, but it looks like you've got dual cooling fans, which probably has something to do with the quality of that bridging. It is wonderful to hear that it is back up and functional, Xandershade. Good job. Alright, what do we have next? Need to fix my Ender tomorrow. Oh, that's a whole feeling, mechanic. A little bit of business from Larabic. War Chief's Hut. The boss's hut is done. First building for my Savage Orc village. Can't wait to do more. Went a little fancier on the palm trees. Took a ton of time. Worth it? Or keep it straight green? Let's have a look. Enhance. I like it. I like the little bit of extra color that you have in the palm trees. I think it reads as more real. But I would also say that I think a big part of the appeal of this Savage Orc force that you've been working on, Larabic, that you've put together, is in kind of the simplicity and the cartoonish nature of the style, the design, and the paint jobs. If it takes a significant amount more time, hey Trotsky, good to see you, to do that, if it significantly increases the paint time on the overall model, I would say probably don't bother. I think that they're going to look really good as green. You don't necessarily need to work in that warmth because you've already got it in the palm trunk and in their proximity to the roof of, in this case, the leader's hut. I assume in other cases to the other huts for the Savage Orc village. I would keep it simple. I really would. I love this force. I love how vibrant it is. And mixing the colors like that, I think is going to have... I really feel like it just has diminishing returns given the art style and the vibrancy of color that you've already chosen for pretty much everything else. So if we're just looking for an opinion, I'm going to say keep it simple. I think that will be the most rewarding path forward. I continue to love that blue. That splash of blue in amongst the yellow for the rocks on the hut. It's this, in the same way that I love the colors you did for the Spider Riders. Very nicely done, Larabic. The fact that we're going right from a great big, like, Savage Orc army right into a Savage Orc village, I could not be more excited. I look forward to seeing the next entry. Alright, then we got a little bit of business here from Shock 21. More rebel scum. Another squad of rebel troopers went for a brighter base and some camo this time, which I think came out well. Kinda disappointed in the faces this time though, not sure what went wrong, but they're messy and everyone looks like they have a weird sunburn. First of all, I actually really like how, like, painfully green this is. And it is, like violent, like, assaulting my retinas green. But it works really, really well with the leather color that you've chosen, that slightly reddish, kind of yellowish leather. And I think that it shows off the camo pretty well, too. Again, it's the trick with camo when you're painting minis. If you're too realistic with your camouflage, it will, like, work. And if it works, then you're not going to see the mini very well. You're not going to see the detail on the mini very well. And if you're not seeing the detail on the mini very well, you're kind of defeating the purpose of painting it in the first place. I don't think I'd be as hard on the faces as you are. I think they look pretty fine, really. You got in there and you did the facial hair pretty well. I'm not particularly seeing an issue. You know what? I will give you one critique. I will say that I think as far as faces go, the Duros in the previous squad did look a little bit better and more defined than this one. I think this one is just a bit weaker than the first one that you did. But I think the overall color scheme is solid. I think the basing looks good. I think the weapons look good. I think the bandoliers came out nice. And I honestly think that the human faces look just fine, man. You've got good shading on the details on top of the helmet, which are weirdly some of the most important since you're going to be seeing them more often than not. Tried a purple wash on this one and it didn't really work out. Alright. Well, if you're not happy with it, then try something else next time. But it's good that you're trying new things on each squad. And I definitely wouldn't advise getting bogged down trying to fix this one. This is a perfectly functional squad of rebels that'll make a great addition to your army. Seen a guy lose a camo painted tank in a war game before? See? It's dangerous. It's a dangerous proposition. Shock, this squad came out real fucking nice, man. Good job. And like I said, I really like that painfully vibrant green. I think that is a really nice touch. On to the next. They're good enough. That is the way to be. Good thinking, Shock, and good work. Oh, here we have a little business, a little work in progress from Jay Schaefer working on an Imperial Knight. Let's have a glance at him here. Not just an Imperial Knight, but a Mechanicus Knight. And not just a Mechanicus Knight, but a Mechanicus Knight, what's the big one? Last time I played Imperial Knights, the Armigers had just come out. And I don't know the names of... There's now like 4 classes of Knight. There's the Knight Armiger, there's the first style of Knight, which was the only Knight back when I first played them. There is the Cerastus Knight, which is the taller, spindlier one. What's this one? It has bigger, burlier shoulders, it has larger forward sponsons, it has the turrets on top of the shoulder and on the carapace. And I don't remember the name of it. You can also tell it has the big curved knee plates that come out and cover up the knee joint. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter what the name is, it's just gonna bug me. So far, so good. Nice Martian red coming together here. Enhance. Nice smooth metallics. Good detailing, picking out the rivets. Knight Castellan / Valiant. Thank you, Jay Schaefer. I knew it had to be something like that. I just couldn't remember what. Big old nasty missile launchers up there on the shoulder pivots on the carapace. God, this one really is just loaded for bear, isn't it? You got your divided black and white Crux Mechanicus there on the front. Always a classic. Loving the Martian red. This is the Valiant. Okay. That one single horrible eye. Is he going to get a face mask, or are you going with the bear face for the Mechanicus style Knight? I like how he has a shield hanging from his codpiece, too. And you've done the... I like the kind of quartering with the black and red and the black toward the inside of his body. Black-white mask. Okay, so kind of mimicking the Crux Mechanicus then, that's actually a really cool idea. I like that. Nice smooth applications so far, man. Good brush control. I'm loving the picked out rivets on the upper carapace. Needs some black lining. I mean, what mecha model doesn't? You know what I mean? That's definitely going to be the trick, though. There's so many smooth surfaces on these guys. They're always a challenge to paint, but this is coming along well. Jay Schaefer, we don't get that many updates from you. But please, 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 please do feel free to share some more progress on this bad boy when you get some done. Very nice. Again, I really like the black and red color scheme, and I like the mimicking of the Crux Mechanicus on the faceplate. I'm going to want to see that. Oh my god, and speaking of people we don't get updated by anywhere near enough, we got a little business here from Chaotic Harmony. Let's have a glance. Tau Piranha complete. Been a while since I sat down and crunched out a mini. Here we go. Damn, that's a good red. It pleases me that Chaotic Harmony has been working with red long enough that he can now get like a pretty good deep red that still has a pretty solid highlight on it. I think that if Chaotic Harmony started leaning into complementary shadows, like started working greens into the shading on his red and into the panel lining on his Tau, like this red would get punched up so nicely. The Piranha is actually old enough that I do actually remember this kit. That's something. I remember when this came out. Oh god, I'm old and hands. I'm digging the internal detailing. Really nice job on this Chaotic Harmony. With the kind of sickly glowing green here on the display. Same thing up here. I can't quite tell. It looks like maybe you did some actual like scan lines in there to mimic a screen. We got sort of a blue screen up here. It's a good opportunity to work in those contrasting colors. I'm glad that you chose blue and green to complement the reds and the yellows and the sort of cream color that we have in the primary Tau armor. Also, yeah, good choice on the forward engines to slap some blue down. Always looking for opportunities to get that contrast in there. Good looking Piranha. Nice looking basing on this bad boy too. Efficient, simple, good looking. Complements the paint scheme with the cool tones and the little bit of green. And man, your freehand is surprisingly good. I know that you've been practicing it, I know that you've been working on it, you've done it on a number of minis so far, but it's still not something that I'm brave enough to do the majority of the time. I see you doing it all the time, and honestly, it reads so nicely. Getting those splashes of yellow in on the red hull. Really nicely done, Chaotic. And yeah, not enough. Not enough. Why do you have to, like, have a job and a life and a fiancé and everything? Why can't you just paint minis all the time and then update us on what you're doing? I demand more Chaotic Harmony. Alright, who do we have up next? Little business here from Asri. Colossal Squig. When it comes time to do a holiday gift exchange, what should you get your wargaming giftee? Why, a strawberry with teeth, of course. Model is from Gork Sculpts. Camo green undercoat to burnt red to bold pyro red. That's words, I can't talk. That is exactly what I was just talking about with Chaotic Harmony's paint scheme. That is a complementary shadow, working from that camo green undercoat up through burnt red into that bold pyro red. You couldn't have given me a better example of what I was saying if you tried. Splash of transparent orange to finish off the airbrushing. The pustules, what a unfortunate word to have to say, are just more camo green with progressively more bright yellow added. Then lots of purple washes give it that lividity. I like it. Pretty happy with it. I could do more work with the teeth and scales, but making it better is probably beyond my skill level. I mean, I doubt it, but you gotta know when you're done painting a mini. Resin base comes in the mail tomorrow, then it'll be time to paint up some fluorescent mushrooms, and we'll come back to this guy for some OSL after the base is done. I'll leave you with this gem. R2 is short for R2-D2, Chewie is short for Chewbacca, and Annie is short for Anakin. What is Luke short for? A Stormtrooper. Yes, indeed. Yes, okay. I have to read these things out loud. This is the job that I literally signed up for. Oh my god. Ooh, this guy looks good. And yeah, you can really... This is the funny thing about using complementary shadows and undercoats, about basing with a green and then working up to a red. When you look in the shadows, you don't necessarily see green. Instead, it just pushes up the vibrancy of the red highlights to a point where they read as very, very rich. This is something that I would love to see Chaotic Harmony start to experiment with, is using those complementary tones as undercoats and as shades. And if you're ever in doubt for what a complementary color is, get yourself a color wheel. The complementary color for a color is on the opposite side of the color wheel every single time. If you're wondering what color you should be using to shade anything, just look on the opposite side of the color wheel and bam, you have got it. I love the internal mouth parts. The purples and the pinks you have in there. The work on the teeth is really nice. They're jagged and nasty. The yellow reads really, really well next to the red. So does the green. It was a lot of fun to paint. It looks like you had fun doing it. It has a lot of personality. I love his nasty, beady little eyes and how they pop out. This is some gorgeous work. And he's going on a resin base, you say, huh? I'll be curious to see that. I assume you're going to take a picture before you send it out for Secret Santa. Somebody's going to be pleased to have one of the more amusing model concepts in all of 40K on their shelf. Asri, very, very nicely done. Again, I love the colors that you have inside the mouth and on the teeth. That is definitely the part of it that stands out to me. Alright, where are we here? Let's see. Oh, we got a little bit of business here from Merlin Models. Let's have a glance. Finished? Excuse me. My armigers. I might not see this storm report until the VOD because I'm catching a bus at 7:40 a.m. to go climb a mountain. The mountain is called Knicht, which is the Old English word for knight's helm. Is that a bad joke? I mean, that might not be. I don't know. I don't know if he's kidding or not. Next weekend, I'm going to be playing my first game of 9th edition Warhammer 40k, and it'll be as Imperial Knights versus Chaos Knights. It's taken me over a year to have the spare time to finish these models. I literally finished them tonight. 0:50 a.m. 1,235 points of Imperial Knights if you include my Castellan personally. I do. The two armigers with the nameplates from Versatile Terrain are in-lore characters of House Krast from their 8th edition codex. There's a lot here I can criticize, as I know I have cut corners, but sometimes you just need something finished in time. Merlin, what the fuck you doing, man? You're painting an army. You've already got your golden demon pin. Calm down. Now that these are done, I can get back to painting some small, high-detail projects, which admittedly does seem to be where you shine. Oh my god. Merlin has come so far in the time I've been watching him paint. It's kind of crazy. Next, to figure out transport for these on a train. Good luck. Transporting knight armies is always a pain. Enhance. Let's get a closer look at our crafty boys here, shall we? Looking real nice. Simple, effective, good contrast, nice basing that complements the paint job without drawing attention away from it, which is always a tough balance to get. I love the heat bluing across the melta. That's really effective. We go from kind of like a deep blue black into sort of a copper and then back to a gold. Really nice hazard striping on the chain blades, particularly with the blood and weathering that you have on there. I really like that. Again, nice hazard striping over here on the armigers with the autocannons. Really nice work on the bases. It looks like mostly stippling, dry brushing, nothing terribly complicated, but your color choices are good. You've got greens, yellows, and blues in there. Again, nothing so vibrant that it's going to draw attention away from the main red paint scheme, but all the colors seem purposefully chosen to enhance that paint scheme. I always look at the base of a mini like a picture frame. It should contextualize it to a degree. It should enhance the main paint scheme. It should never draw attention away from it. And this is a great example of doing that well. Love, love, love the lensing on the eyes across the board here, particularly on these single eye armigers. You brought it up high enough and let it go down low enough in the green register that it really reads as like that subtle glare on the top there. Narcissus hates Requiem. Carix, Serpent's Bane. Very nicely done. Good yellow on these guys, too. It's kind of a mustard yellow. I like it. I might ask for more weathering, but this was a quick army paint job. How can I possibly criticize? How can I criticize somebody who's actually entered a golden demon? I think that once you did that, like, I'm no longer allowed. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You didn't paint the... You neither drilled nor painted these meltas? Get the fuck out of here, Merlin. What are you doing? You're taking the piss. I'm not even gonna look at him again. Not until you drill those barrels, man. I'm joking. That's awesome, man. I'm glad to see you actually getting some games in. Believe it or not, we can play games with these minis from time to time. Up next, we got some business from Voxel Forge, some Shadowhawk weapon bits. I am so thrown by your weapon designs, Voxel Forge. I'm gonna compliment them because coming up with unique weapon designs is tricky. Coming up with ones that are uniquely yours, that other people, that aren't just ripping off other people's designs, it's tricky. Gun barrels tend to all wind up looking the same. I like how you kind of lean on square cross sections for your barrels. I look at this top one, and Voxel Forge, are you here? I have to ask. Were you looking at a Doom plasma rifle when you designed that? It reminds me of a Doom plasma rifle. Not exactly, but it's close. It is the PPC from the Awesome. I recognize the square barrel on it, but this is the first time I'm looking this closely at it. And I'm just wondering if there was any shared DNA there with the plasma rifles from Doom, that's all. Nothing wrong if it was. It's just jumping out at me now that I have this zoomed in version of it. The square cross section on the middle one, which I'm guessing is an autocannon, is a really interesting choice. I like the round barrel just kind of emerging from the more squared off rectangular shroud. I like this detail here with the pivot point, and this looks like a little locking shroud that might pop up. You do a good job on this detailing, Voxel Forge, of combining these various little mesh pieces, because they look suggestive of something that could be a mechanism that could work, but at the same time, it's complex enough. Doesn't necessarily really need to. I also like some of our shared detailing here between this one and this one. What's the one on the bottom meant to be? I'm guessing this is our autocannon. Is this going to be a laser? It seems pretty large for a laser. This is our PPC. This is our autocannon. What is this? Help me out. Oh, LBX-10. Oh, that's your big old dag nasty shotty. Okay, that explains it. I like it. I guess that also explains why it shares some DNA with the autocannon. Very nicely done. Speaking of nicely done, Seed Setter, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. Voxel Forge, man, you've got a real talent for that hard surface design. I can't wait to see that Shadow Hawk. I was about to say Shadow Cat. That's one of my mods. That's not a Battlemech. What's wrong with my brain? Here we have a little bit of business from This Mechanic Games. Still more Stormcast. It's all forced practice. I mean, that's what all practice is. You gotta make yourself do it. That's the only way you're gonna get better. You can't sit around just wishing for it to happen, And you have certainly been doing a lot of practicing lately. Still working on my Stormcast Eternals army. And This Mechanic Games, I see that you're keeping that red in that sort of deep burgundy, which is very much what I pushed for the last time we saw your Stormcast, and can I just say, I love it. I love it. I think it could use it could use some brighter highlights to bring it out, but I think that as a primary color, that deep burgundy is just fucking gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. This is also another example of if you felt like coming in and glazing some greens into the shadows of it, that's going to reduce the amount of highlighting you need to do, because again, that glazed green is going to really help to push up the vibrancy of the deep reds that you're using. Nice, smooth work, good metallics. I'm really digging that cloak, man. I like this scheme quite a lot. Is there a Stormcast Eternal Warcry band? Like, I'm not in any way versed in the current state of Age of Sigmar as a game or what's available to it. I just wonder if there is a Warcry band comprised of Stormcast Eternals. I genuinely have no idea. I love the look of that halberd, too, with the sort of, looks like a hexagonal cross-section for the part that links to the haft. That's a pretty cool design. Enhance. There's a very, very shiny silver that you have there, and very shiny gold for that matter. Almost looks alcohol-based. Just from the amount of reflection that it has. Either way, keep up the absolutely lovely work. That is moving in a wonderful direction, mechanic. Alright. What do we got up next? A little bit of business. The Scale 75 acrylic. I haven't used their metallics. If their metallics look like that, I might have to grab one and give it a try, because that really reads nicely. I think I mentioned it before, and you probably even told me that before, but, you know, expecting me to remember things for more than 24 hours is a losing proposition. Another Ghur piece from Tobin Lord. This was a redraw from a really old piece I had back in either 2019 or 2020. Yeah, a really old piece you had back in 2019 or 2020. Really old, a whole less than 5 years ago. Oh my god. Cannot remember which. The lore of these two is really old and still haven't even decided what I will do with them. Made them back in 2011, 2012. Okay, that makes more sense. That is old. That's 10 years. That's fine. I mean, and in fairness, the lore seems to be that man's getting stabbed through the back. What an incredibly morbid piece. This man is clearly delighted to be just utterly annihilating this man's ribcage and internal organs, and you even have blood dripping down his arm from the stab. Holy crap, man. What's on his arm? It's like the Ghostbuster symbol. It's like the Buster symbol with the line through it, but what is it that it's crossing out? Is it like no mustaches? What is it that he is aligned against? I can't quite tell. Just a mischievous grin for what is objectively a horrific murder. Tobin Lord, you're... Oh, it's a wing and a weapon. Okay, so this is like a scythe. So this is like the blade, and this is the haft, and the circle is separate from it. Okay. I wasn't sure if this extra little arm here was something or not. So it's a wing and like a scythe. He was supposed to be an ex-pilot or something. All right, so like a unit patch kind of deal. You have such a... What's the word I'm looking for? To all of your work, Tobin Lord, there is a... As I've said before, your style is identifiable. You put a piece of art in front of me that you have done, I feel fairly confident that I could identify it. I could identify it as your work out of a lineup. But you have such an energy to your work. There's like a mirthful savagery. Not just in this piece, not just because of the smiling backstab, but really to all your work. There is a sort of mirthful savagery. And it's just... It's incredibly endearing. It really is. That's... And then you do your Ghur work and it just gets so dark. But damn it if I don't love seeing it. Oh, thank you for sharing with us, Tobin Lord, as always. I really, really enjoy your posts. Alright, what do we have next? We got some business here from the Happy Heretic, who's working on some of our bread and butter, a little bit of Battletech hitting the table. Started a new paint scheme. Tried my hand at Clan Wolf Theta Galaxy scheme, and I'm actually quite pleased with how it turned out. The Mad Cat was the test, which is why it looks slightly different. Kit Fox was the more refined version. I like how the white arms and the ice and snow base turned out. Body and legs were done with a 2-to-1 mix of hardened leather and blood red speed paints. Currently working on getting at least a star of these guys done. 2-to-1, hardened leather, and blood red. Interesting. Because blood red is very red. But the hardened leather, it kind of turns it into almost more of an ox blood, doesn't it? More of a burgundy, a bit more so. It desaturates the blood red somewhat. And yeah, I can definitely tell it's more refined on the Kit Fox. Nice work on the basing. Particularly in that you haven't just covered the bases with snow, which is kind of always the temptation. But, you know, if you've ever been around snow, you know that unbroken fields of it are pretty rare outside of Arctic conditions. If you've got different ground conditions, you've got like patches of dirt, patches of rock, they're gonna warm and cool at different rates. Some snow is gonna melt in some areas depending on where the sun falls. It's just very natural to have it be more patchy, and I really kind of like how this reads. Him kind of walking across this dirt here. Good texture on the raised rock, for that matter. I would say that this is a very successful attempt at a new paint scheme. You've put a lot of work into kind of mastering these speed paints, and you've gotten some excellent results out of them. Very, very nicely done. Oh, look at that classic Mad Cat with his goofy right angle arms. Oh, I miss those. I used to walk around as a kid with like carpet tubes on my arms, pretending I was a Mad Cat, or I guess my brother would pretend he was a Mad Cat. I would pretend that I was a Warhammer, because I wasn't, you know, a filthy clanner. But I suppose we don't need to go there. Oh, and then we got a little bit more business here from Journeyman Paint Hour. Oh, nice. New and improved ice base. Speaking of a pretty damn good job using snow effects. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Finished ice base number version 7 or something like that? Crackle paste, deep blue turquoise, resin, blue wash mixed in, and some snow. Simple, fast, and solid result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess our definitions of simple are a little different as far as the number of steps involved. But if you find it simple and fast, that's all that matters. Very pleased with the end result. As always, critiques or advice welcome. Now, while we may have differing ideas of what constitutes simple, the end results here are difficult to argue with. Really, the appearance of like the cracks and scratches in the resin, and how some of the snow is almost like buried down into it, is what it looks like. This looks like it looks like an icy surface that has been subjected to multiple days of sublimation, of heat, of alternating cycles of, you know, heating, cooling, melting, and refreezing. That's what it looks like to me. It reads very naturally, because that's something that happens with snow. Part of it is going to melt in the sun, and then that moisture is going to refreeze overnight, and then some more snow might fall, and you'll wind up with these sort of uneven clumps and frozen parts. And this definitely reads to me like some snow that's been there for long enough to melt and refreeze several times and harden into some nasty death cookie ice. I really, really love the scratches and divots and everything in it. If this is something you can replicate, fucking keep it up, man. These are some good-looking bases. And our final entry from Journeyman Paint Hour, utilizing his This Just In. Let's go ahead and have a look at the final product, which is definitely what I'm excited to see. Best Emperor Palpatine voice. Stormtrooper. oh yes, Stormtrooper. My lord, Stormtrooper. My lord, Stormtrooper. Oh, that whole skit just came flashing back to me. Go fuck yourself. For those of you who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, please go watch Robot Chicken Star Wars. I realize at this point it's kind of old, but if you haven't watched it, I promise you'll enjoy it. Go fuck yourself. Aww. That's a wonderful skit. Let's see here. And to go on the bases, we have the Stormtrooper Command upgrade, laser cannons, a captain, and our favorite, the Supply Specialist. An army marches on its stomach, after all. Enhance. These Stormies came out pretty nice. Nice vibrant orange for our pauldron for our Stormtrooper Commander. God, those bases look good. And it does exactly what I like in a base, which, as I said, I view it kind of like a picture frame. It should enhance the look of the Mini without drawing attention away from it, and it's kind of just right. In all these cases, it enhances the look of the mini without drawing any attention away from it. Really nice job on these. I love the little splashes of color you've gone ahead and put in for like the communication guy with his big DH-17 blaster. For Homeboy here with his little backpack. Just little splashes of color in there to break up the big expanses of gray. These are some damn good looking Stormtroopers. Again, what I really want from you Journeyman Paint Hour is to see some Snowtroopers on these bases, but I understand they're different units, you gotta have some Stormtroopers too. But, you know, get some Snowtroopers on there. Let's see some pictures. Let's see some pictures, that's what I'm after. I don't think I ever did the command upgrade for Stormtroopers. I think I sold my Imperials before that actually came out. How silly. How profoundly silly. But that will bring us to the end of tonight's Storm Report, and as is tradition, the end of tonight's stream. Hey. There we go. The buttons don't work, but I can still click things periodically. Oh, thank you so much for saying so, Toby. I realize it was kind of a boring stream. It was mostly me slapping wash on some airbrush base coats, but I mean, you know, that's terrain painting, and I need this done next week, so that's what I'm going to be doing. Sunday should be a little bit more entertaining, at the very least, because the washing will all be done, and we'll be getting into dry brushing, which is where you can really see the details of the model start to pop out. Let's go ahead and figure out where we are going tonight. Hold on a second. Let me see who's online. It's Friday. People got to be out there painting, right? Wicked Mini painting is going. Lillystration's doing a little bit of art. Good Enough painting. Ooh, I like him. PSK Studio looks like he just got started. Kevin Kitsune's playing some Project Zomboid. Wombat Combat's playing Darktide. Let's see. Let me see what Good Enough Painting is up to. I like him. He's been going for a little while. Looks like he's working on some Poxwalkers and some Scions. That seems like a good transition from what we've been working on tonight. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that started. Boom. And away we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Locusts and Gentlemex, thank you all for joining me on this Friday night for some of the most... It really is boring. I should stop saying it. It's just that, you know, terrain painting. It's like the least sexy form of mini painting, but the end product is very exciting, and we're gonna get into the fun part of it this Sunday. We're gonna be back on the 20th for some more painting. I'm gonna be doing some kind of muscly effects on these trees. I think you're really gonna like it, because once the red starts going down, it's gonna set off all the yellows and the greens and the jade. I think this terrain set's gonna look pretty cool on Sunday. So make sure you come out for some of that, since we're actually gonna be painting and not just shading. I underestimated how much of that I had to do today, frankly. November 22nd, 25th, and that is a possible on the 27th. We're going to be on Friendsgiving break. I'm going to be actually playing some games. I will be on the Discord. I will be posting pictures. We're just not going to have the next two streams effectively, because we'll be hosting friends for Thanksgiving and playing games. 27th is a maybe. I will notify you guys about that before we actually get to it, whether we'll have a stream on that day. We'll be back for sure Wednesday, November the 30th. I'll have more announcements about that on the Discord as well. Saturday the 30th. Saturday the 3rd, we're going to have movie night. Oh my god, I'm running out of time. What the hell am I doing? Folks, I'm going to send you over to Good Enough Painting. Thank you again for joining me, and until next time, keep on painting.